Alrighty, what's going on, y'all? Let's go. Okay, let me put my banner up, then I'm gonna get straight into what I need to do. Alrighty, y'all. So, with that being said, what is going on? Welcome to the land of reckless logic. Alrighty, so by the title of this video, I will be talking about Pastor Carlton. I'm gonna call him Funds because, baby, that's exactly what he wanted at the time. But however, what this video is gonna be about is talking about this particular pastor that basically he basically told his congregation that they were broke, disgusted, and just because they did not purchase him a $4,000 watch. And so this particular video, when I end up seeing this video, it ended up sparking a reaction out of me, and I felt like there's a deeper conversation that needed to be had. But however, before I do all of that and what's going on, hey Purple Lover, what's actually going to happen right now? I'm just gonna run my little fair use. That's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna run my fair use because I do have the video here. Let's get straight into it.
I'm in danger! I'm in danger! I'm in danger!
Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976 allows is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, always constructive. Comment down below. News reporting, I guess that's what we doing. Teaching, hopefully y'all learn something. Scholarship, we ain't got no money. Education and research so you can get a nasty piece of degree, okay? Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Now, just so you guys know, I am outside. And by the way, with my fair use, every time I see that bad boy, baby, I'll be like, yes, ma'am. Because I really ate that when it came to making that video. I was really proud of myself. But I'm not going to lie, y'all, just so you guys are aware, just in case you guys hear something. I decided with this particular video, I'm going to be outside. I didn't feel like being inside the house. Doing this video, I want to get a breath of fresh air. So if you hear crackheads in the background, if you hear dogs barking, if you hear gunshots, that is the reason why. Now, keep in mind, I'm not at my home. I'm at my friend's home. So y'all don't judge me. I'm trying to survive out here because I'm visiting somewhere and yeah, I'm going to be home soon. I'm just not home right now. Okay, so however, we still got to get this content done. Okay, so let me share my screen and we're going to watch this particular video. What we're going to do. And by the way, everything when it comes to my fair use video, baby, that's Mary had a little lamb in her pet Billy Goat. I know that's right. Whatever, let me do this. We're gonna watch this bad boy.
See, that's how I know you still poor, broke, busted, and disgusted because of how you've been honoring me. I'm not worth your McDonald's money. I'm not worth your Red Lobster money. I ain't worth your St. John knit. Y'all can't afford it no how. I ain't worth y'all Louis Vuitton. I ain't worth your Prada. I'm not worth your Gucci. You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And y'all know I asked for one last year. Here it is the whole way in August. I still ain't got it. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters. I don't want to hear no more excuses about what y'all can't afford. You can't afford it because you don't see the value here. Y'all hear from y'all pastor and father, I'm over y'all. I'm over your cheap expression.
Alrighty, y'all. So yes, in this particular video here, it shows of course, the actual incident what actually sparked up people's reactions because I really don't know what to really call it. I'm low-key lost for words in a sense, but at the same time, I'm shocked, but I'm not really shocked. But I'm gonna play the actual incident again one more time, and then the pastor actually ended up apologizing as well. Okay, let's get straight into it.
See, that's how I know you still poor, broke, busted, and disgusted because of how you've been honoring me. I'm not worth your McDonald's money. I'm not worth your Red Lobster money. I ain't worth your St. John knit. Y'all can't afford it no how. I ain't worth y'all Louis Vuitton. I ain't worth your Prada. I'm not worth your Gucci. You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And y'all know I asked for one last year. Here it is the whole way in August. I still ain't got it. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters. I don't want to hear no more excuses about what y'all can't afford. You can't afford it because you don't see the value here. Y'all hear from y'all pastor and father, I'm over y'all. I'm over your cheap expression.
Alrighty, so okay, so hey, what's going on, y'all? Everybody, let's go on. What's going on? What's going on? Alrighty, so just so you guys are aware of what's going on right now, I ended up just playing the actual incident, but however, he also ended up sending out an apology. So we're gonna see what he has to say, and we're also gonna see what he's gonna say to kind of see would he be able to come up with a logical or an excuse or a reason that has substance. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna play it twice, y'all, but we're gonna see.
Good evening. My name is Carlton Funderburke. I'm the senior pastor of Church of the Well right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I want to take this moment to address the now viral video clip of me from a sermon given August the 7th, 2022. Though there is context behind the content of the clip, no context will suffice to explain the hurt and anguish caused by my words. I've spoken to those I am accountable to and have received their correction and instruction. I have also privately apologized to our church, who has extended their love and support to me. I'm privileged to do life with them. The video clip does not reflect my heart or my sentiments toward God's people, yet that's not discernible in the clip. Therefore, I offer this sincere apology to you today. No context could erase the words I used. I apologize to all who have been hurt, angered, or in any way damaged by my words. The zeal of any presentation must be tempered with love and respect, and that was not displayed. I apologize to the church at large for any undue scrutiny I have.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Now keep in mind this is my first time actually watching this in front of you guys. Okay, but however, I'm really noticing a few things. So this commentary probably is going to be real impactful. I can tell you that much. But I'm noticing a few things. I'm just going to wait to the end.
Subjected you to. I apologize to every preacher and pastor who must stand up under the controversy that I have caused. To those who know and love me, thank you for your support. To those who now know me, because of this video clip, I regret that your first impression of me is one of anger, hate, and resentment. My actions and my words are inexcusable. I offer no justification or defense. That moment was mishandled and mismanaged. I deeply regret this moment, and I solicit your prayers and your forgiveness as we grow forward. Thank you. God bless you. Go with God, and He'll go with you.
Now, like I said, I'm gonna play it one more time. The last part. I'm play the last part one more time, and then we gonna get into this commentary. Cause baby.
Good evening. My name is Carlton Funderburke. I'm the senior pastor of Church of the Well right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I want to take this moment to address the now viral video clip of me from a sermon given August the 7th, 2022. Though there is context behind the content of the clip, no context will suffice to explain the hurt and anguish caused by my words. I've spoken to those I am accountable to and have received their correction and instruction. I have also privately apologized to our church, who has extended their love and support to me. I'm privileged to do life with them. The video clip does not reflect my heart or my sentiments toward God's people, yet that's not discernible in the clip. Therefore, I offer this sincere apology to you today. No context could erase the words I used. I apologize to all who have been hurt, angered, or in any way damaged by my words. The zeal of any presentation must be tempered with love and respect, and that was not displayed. I apologize to the church at large for any undue scrutiny I have subjected you to. I apologize to every preacher and pastor who must stand up under the controversy that I have caused. To those who know and love me, thank you for your support. To those who now know me, because of this video clip, I regret that your first impression of me is one of anger, hate, and resentment. My actions and my words are inexcusable. I offer no justification or defense. That moment was mishandled and mismanaged. I deeply regret this moment, and I solicit your prayers and your forgiveness as we grow forward. Thank you. God bless you. Go with God, and He'll go with you.
So let's get into everything that's going on. But before I do all that, let me actually get into these comments. Let me just read a few, okay? Let me go up to the top here, baby. And I'm gonna work my way down. Yes, ma'am. Alrighty. So CJ's daughter, these preachers haven't learned nothing during this pandemic. Oh, girl. Um, Purple Lover, we over. Oh, we over you. Oh, girl. Oh, not you over. Let me see. I can't understand why these people aren't learning to see God's purpose of. Good luck. I don't know about girl. Good luck. But however, like Conscious always talks about and says that this is the season of exposing. So a lot of people are going to be exposed. A lot of things are going to be revealed. This is probably the best time for all of us to get our shit together because, baby, everybody got a clock that's ticking. You see, he's okay. He like the most need to evolve and get in touch with the spirit of the most high God, and he will incite in directions to gain the wealth laid up, and that's 100% true. That's 100% true. Where all the energy at now, sir? We need the same energy from, and we're gonna get into that. That's one of the things I did notice. Let me see, Purple Lover. It actually does reflect your heart, and it shows it was on the same. Look, come on, get into it. All right, so let me just get because girl, y'all over here just typing them up. Storm. Okay, so let me actually get into what I'm about to say. So first things first. People think the first thing I noticed when I watched the video. First things first, when I actually heard about the story, I heard about this particular story because it was going around in the media, on social media. And I heard about people talking about a particular pastor insulting his congregation over them not gifting him a $4,000 watch or whatever. And so I was like, you know what? Let me actually check it out because I do know that a lot of times media likes to take a lot of stories and take them out of context. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna check it out. So I just seen the video in front of all you guys. So the first thing that actually stood out to me is something that I always talk about. I don't know why people believe they can always get on their soapbox. I don't know why people always believe that once they get into a sacred space or they get inside, actually step foot into the pulpit, they can say anything that they want. Now, You can say anything that you want. But however, you have to be very mindful. If you're going to step into the leadership position, as in being a pastor, you're going to have influence. And with you having influence, one of the cons of having influence is that you're always going to have feedback. Either feedback from the congregation, or you're going to have feedback from the media. As in this particular case, that it happened. You're always going to have feedback. So this also goes to what I literally talked about. Inside of the church, we literally talked about this yesterday. Inside of the church, just because you call upon the Holy Spirit, but however, your intention, either on a conscious or on subconscious level, is not 100% pure or coming from a pure place, it's not going to reflect or come out that way. Reason being, when you call upon the Holy Spirit, but your intention's not all the way up to par, keep in mind, God is not the only person that can speak to you inside of a church. God is not the only person that can actually communicate messages and pass messages. Angels are not the only energies that exist. This also goes to another reason why when we start talking about, especially people that are into spirituality, when it comes down to having, hey, what's going on? When it comes down to having altars, when it comes down to having a sacred spaces, they always want to make sure your energy is pure, and you always want to make sure that you meditate and make sure that your headspace, you're in the correct headspace. You're in the correct headspace, because you never know what you're attracting. I can say, oh God, this, but if my energy is not okay, you're going to attract everything else but God. You're going to attract everything else but angels. And this goes back to what I was literally talking about. You can call upon the Holy Spirit, but however, is the Holy Spirit going to answer? Now that may depend upon the energy that you have. That can vary depending upon how are you showing up? How are you presenting yourself? What is your underlying motive when it comes down to you preaching the word? Now, I'm going to say this as well too. I personally believe, now this is what I personally believe. I personally believe that pastors in particular should be financially supported by the church. Like they should make them being a pastor a full-time job, a full-time career, a full-time employee of the church, and not have not have any other professions, any other jobs or hustles. Reason being, and the reason why I said that is the reason why I believe this is because I cannot see someone, specifically a pastor, being over a congregation and taking on the emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental baggage of his congregation and have to worry about its rent due, or having to worry about outside issues that have nothing to do with the church. Especially when you're called to be a pastor. Now, reason why I believe this is because I feel like as long as we're able to eliminate all of the other factors, now keep in mind, life is not perfect. So I understand that this is not just this perfect thing that's going to happen. But I feel personally that as long as we get rid of all of the outside factors that we can try to eliminate when it comes down to pastors being able to preach the word of gospel and not really having too much to worry about, just so they can fully focus on the congregation and fully focus on the ministry of the word, the ministry of God. You can't fully focus on the ministry of God when you're sitting up here, you're worried about being kicked out of your house. And I will say this as well too. I gotta make sure I always keep adding this in there. Not all pastors or ministers are called, and that's the problem. Now, I'm not gonna say this particular pastor is or isn't. I'm gonna let y'all decipher that. But however, what I will say is this: not all pastors and ministers are called, but however, some of them have been texted, some of them received some emails, some of them have been faxed, but you weren't called. Now, I do understand that pastors aren't perfect. I do understand that pastors, even though a lot of times because of the way that we view our religious icons or religious people, we believe that our pastors are perfect, and that's not the case. But however, I don't want to harp on that too much, because everything I literally just said right in that moment, it does not fully apply to the pastor that we're talking about. That I'm having a bigger conversation. So I don't want y'all thinking you're trying to make excuses. Nah, don't worry, we finna get right into him. Okay. All right. So another thing too was that I don't know why people believe that they can literally hold a philosophy that tells you to honor God, that tells you to honor the scriptures, the word, but however, have these underlying subconscious ideas of you being God and that you should be honored. Because when he was actually speaking, the thing that actually stood out to me is that, you guys don't honor me. Now, keep in mind, I just paraphrased that, y'all. But you guys don't honor me the way that you should. People really have to stop believing that once you get on your little soapbox that you are God. Because guess what? You're not. And I think it's very interesting that a lot of people, when they want to quote unquote be quote unquote God, then they want to be God. But then when people start to actually hold them to that standard of being God, as in being perfect, as in not showing emotion, being the essence of love, because a lot of times, a lot of people don't really show love. Like, a lot of times people don't understand what love is, unconditional love. Unconditional love. Then all of a sudden, the rhetoric becomes, I'm not God, I'm human, I'm not perfect. And this is what I feel like I always say, this is what a contradiction and the mind fuck comes into effect. The mind fuck is more like on the essence of mind fucking me raw, because it's not like you're doing it with a condom. It's not like you're doing it like you're on prep, but you're doing it raw. Reason being is because you're holding up the scriptures, you're holding onto the word and scriptures, and also holding a philosophy that tells you to preach the word, preach the gospel, and honor God. But yet, you hold a subconscious and have intentions of you becoming and glorifying yourself and honoring yourself and holding yourself to a standard that you will not be able to fulfill. I'm sorry. So which one is it? Honor God, or should we honor you? And I do believe that was a very egoic stance, and he was speaking from the ego. Not gonna lie. You should honor me. Excuse me? Excuse me, sir? What you mean honor you? Especially when you're referencing and talking about honoring you and trying to equate that and showing love through your congregation giving you a $4,000 watch, or your congregation actually turning their honor into finances. Now, I will say this as well. On the flip side, well, I'm not gonna say the flip side, but I really do believe that if he would have tweaked up a lot of things and would have took a lot of things out, it really could have been a very powerful message of what he was. At least I believe, I could be wrong, what I believe or what I think he was trying to say. It could have been a powerful message. It really could have. It really could have. Reason being is because I personally believe, me trying to decipher what I believe what he was saying, let me just say that. What I believe what he was saying is that, or trying to say, if he would have tweaked it up, is that a lot of times we can literally go out, buy all of this crazy things, pay for all of this outrageous stuff that we do not even, it has no substance for us. It does not feed us. It does nothing for us. But then when we get into sacred spaces, but then when we get into churches, holy buildings, all of a sudden we act like we're broke, or we act like we don't show up with that same urgency, or we don't show up with that same energy to support a building, a place, a sanctuary that may or may not be helping you spiritually. Now, if he would have spoke on and continued to speak on that aspect, he would have been better off. But however, the issue comes into effect is because he's talking about him being honored, and then he's sitting up here equating his congregation's honor into materialistic, egoic stuff that does not serve a purpose, like a $4,000 watch. What are you going to do with a $4,000 watch? What are you going to do with a $4,000 watch? What purpose does that serve? What purpose does that have in your life? What purpose is that? And then on top of that, you're insulting your congregation, calling them broke, busted, and disgusted. And this is the and this is the motherfucking issue with this, is that this is the exploitation that happens when it comes down to melanated communities, and also going to a particular sanctuary. Girl, I can't even freaking speak. I'm gonna get irritated. Going to a sanctuary where you're going there for spiritual fulfillment, you're going there for enlightenment, but however, you're being insulted, you're being disrespected, and you're also being talked down upon. So I don't know what my thing is this. I don't know what message he thought was going to come from that. I don't know why he thought that was the right approach to go by. I don't know why. I don't be understanding this. And this is another thing. I don't know why these pastors lately have been acting. Actually, I lied. They've been acting up. I'm gonna be honest with you. They've been acting up. It's just now, since we live in the social media age, it's just exposed now. And people are actually talking about it. And since people are actually leaving the church, leaving certain spiritual practices, not only just the church, but leaving other spiritual practices, going on their own journey of enlightenment. And then on top of that, we live in a social media age. A lot of times people are to the exposing and having the clout of it all and having breaking stories. So now I understand why it makes sense. It makes sense why he got exposed. And with that being said, I don't understand why these pastors do not clean their act up. Like TD Jakes, you said what you said. Carlton, you said what you said. Kim Burrell, you said what you said. And every single last one of them had a big giant dose of contradiction and hypocrisy. Miss Kim Burrell, you're a female pastor. You're not supposed to be preaching. Contradiction, hypocrisy, if you go by the word. TD Jakes, you talked about women, quote unquote, being masculine. All these things. Then you list off of reasons why women or how women display in modern society masculinity, but that's a contradiction. Reason being is because what you're saying is that since women are now masculine in this current society, men should display the exact same things that you are looking at women and disgusted by, which is that wounded masculine I was talking about. The abuse, the dominance, ugly, all those things. Now, Carlton, Pastor Carlton, you're holding up a philosophy and a book that tells you to honor God, but yet you get into a pulpit, insult your congregation, exploitate your congregation, make them feel bad, quote unquote, for not giving you a $4,000 watch that does not hold any substance. And then not only that, now we're going to get to the apology. Now, the first thing I noticed with this apology is that now let me say this. At my former job, well, actually it was a career because I had benefits, but at my former career, I worked in sales. I learned a lot from that particular profession. I went door to door. I talked to a lot of people. I was able to adjust to different personalities, knowing how to handle when people are upset, knowing how to handle people are about like outraged, about to try to knock me out, hit me, curse me out, like learning how to maneuver in the world. And that was really an eye-opening experience. So within the profession and within the training process and also an everyday thing, we learned how to communicate, effectively communicate. We learned about the tonality in our voices. We learned about our body language, how to stand, how to express ourselves. Come on, airplane over my head. Yes, ma'am. But I'm sorry, y'all, I'm outside. But we learned about how to, when it comes to our body language, how to stand, what comes off inviting, what comes off threatening, because keep in mind, you're going to someone's house, so you have to look as open as possible. And so we learned those type of things. And so when I watched this video of him apologizing, the first thing I noticed was the tonality in his voice, which is something that Purple Lover pointed out. He wasn't doing all that, like all of that, what he was doing in the first video. But however, in that apology, that tone was very soft. He was talking very light. It's the same way I'm not gonna lie, I pay attention to the I pay attention to the manipulative tactics that's utilized within media. The same reason how when it came down to Tasha K, I saw the things that I saw. In the video, she used black women as dog whistles. She used payola as a dog whistle. She used ghostwriters and stuff like as dog whistles. She wore the color white, which represents purity, innocence, to purify, purification. She had her light slightly hovering her. So when she looked up, it looks like she's looking into the heavens. Every once in a while, she would look down off to the side to give a look of sorrow. These are the things that I've learned in that profession. And so now I really pay attention. I really pay attention to those things. And so when he was giving his apology, I was like, hold up now. Come on. Your tone is very light. You're not speaking the way that you was speaking before. Oh, come on, motorcycle. Yes. They all coming out outside. But you're not speaking the same way you were speaking before. That tone was very light. That voice was very soft. And another thing, it's something about having an apology and reading your apology off a piece of paper. Now, I do understand that when it comes down to speaking, some people, they like to have their thoughts written down. They like to articulate themselves on paper and then read it out. I understand that. But there's some things and there's some things we have to specify. Now, this is my personal opinion. Reckless Logic is saying this. This is not everybody. But let me say this. When you're reading off a piece of paper, it's one thing when you're reading off a piece of paper and people know and can really feel the apology. They can feel the sincerity and the authenticity when you're reading off that piece of paper. But it's different when you're reading off a piece of paper and we can't feel it. Because questions start to come up. And one of the questions I'm starting to ask, is that really his apology? Or did someone write it for him? Not gonna lie. Did someone write it for him? So, when it comes down to people actually having an apology and actually acknowledging and taking ownership for what they have done, how it came off, the part that they played, whether or not they actually meant it or not, you have to have that sincerity and authenticity for people to actually know. Because one thing you cannot fake, you can't fake or I'm just gonna leave it at fake. You can't fake energy. Everybody feels energy. That's the reason why whenever you're speaking to somebody, and especially if you know the person, if you're speaking to somebody and they're telling you that they're okay, but it's like a little voice in your head saying something's going on, that's that energy coming off of them. So yeah, it's something about when people read off a piece of paper for their apology, it doesn't sit right with me. It comes off as not being sincere. But like I said, it can only come off as sincere if we can feel we can actually feel the sincerity in your voice, your body language. When he was speaking, it felt really rehearsed. It felt really, I don't want to say concrete. It didn't feel sincere. I'm gonna be honest with you. It did not feel sincere. Now I'm gonna say this. He did say that that does not reflect his heart. Now, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and actually say this. I do not know this pastor personally. I do not know this pastor on a personal level, as in I go to his church, anything. But I will say this. I'm gonna say for me personally, it's gonna be really hard for me not to believe that that's not his character on some level. Reason being is because of when you were in the pulpit, you was preaching, you said what you said, you felt how you felt, and it's the fact that you felt extremely comfortable saying it lets me know that this is not the first time you thought about this type of things. This is not the first time you probably said something like that. I'm assuming. Let me read some of these comments because I don't want to make it seem like. Thank you. Let me say. Nah, it isn't sincere to me when you're reading off of paper. Open your mouth and speak from your. And that's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so Thank you. I'm gonna start going a little bit more over these comments because of the simple fact of y'all be reminding me of things, and it allows me to really articulate what I'm about to say because this kind of like an improv type of video. So that's the thing. It's one thing to have your notes and kind of keep your key points of what you actually want to touch up on. That's one thing. But however, it's something that's completely different when you actually have your key points and you can speak from your heart. You can look down, you can glance down and see what you actually wanted to talk about, actually speak from your heart. That right there is what really makes the change. That right there is what really affects people, and that right there lets people actually know that you actually mean what you said. I'm actually sorry. Well, actually, that's another video we need to get into. Actually, that's the topic we need to like actually touch upon. Apologies, because I heard a lot of controversy when it comes out to apologies. But that's a side note. Let me stay focused. Good. Now let me see. Let me see. We felt it. We felt the instance. Oh, girl. That Stockholm syndrome is strong in most religions, but it is magnified in the church because these preachers do not care. Ooh. These preachers need to understand their position is not to be used to abuse. Start uplifting your congregation, and then through their appreciation, we come on, preach. Come on. Let me see. Let me show this bad boy. I don't tolerate abuse from anyone. Where you offend me is where I will speak out. Come on, talk about it. And that's the thing. Like people are coming to the church for healing. They're not coming there to be talked down upon. They're not coming down. They're not. They're not going there to be completely disrespected. Now it's one thing to quote unquote preach the gospel, but it's another thing to preach the gospel, but yet not really disrespect people. There's a complete difference when it comes down to that. Now I will say this. Um, Now he said he did apologize to his church and others. Now here's the thing. If this never would have came out, the question that I actually have is would he have apologized? And if this video never would have came out, would his congregation would have said anything or felt any type of way? Enough to say something. That's my question. And that's exactly what I wanted to know because I'm like, okay, if this video didn't come out, if this stuff wasn't thrown out into the general public and people reacted to it, would have came out to actually say something? Would your conscience would have let you know that you know what, that wasn't right? I was messed up when I said that. Now, like I said, I do understand pastors are not perfect, but however, let's just call a spade a spade. There was nothing holy about you saying what you said. You expecting or you wanting your congregation to get you a $4,000 watch does not equate to honor. Because right then and there, when you said a $4,000 watch, that let me know that it's not about quote unquote the honor. That's coming from an egoic stance. Because guess what? What can you do with a $4,000 watch? It still ticks the same way. Now, this would be different if you had your own $4,000 and you wouldn't got yourself something and you wanted to, show up to church and really, come to church the way that you wanted to come to church. That's something completely different. But this comes from an exploitative type of energy, to be completely honest. Hold up, y'all. Now, what I'm about to do, I'm about to share my screen. And we're about to get into the sociological aspect of this. Give me 2.5 seconds. Let me just get myself together. Oh, girl, I'm back. Lord have mercy. Oh Lord. Actually, I'm gonna do it like this today. I'm gonna do it like this today. We're gonna do it like this. Girl. But before I even get into all that, let me take a drink of water. My mouth dry. Because baby, I was over there doing my I was reading yesterday, baby. My mouth was dry. And plus on top of that, I had to move over because okay, so I'm gonna whisper this. So this guy ended up coming outside. And by the way, I'm whispering this, y'all. This guy ended up coming outside, and now all of a sudden he out on his porch, and he over here talking to somebody. He's speaking in Creole, and the thing is about it is that like I don't know why the hell. Because keep in mind, no one was outside all day. Nobody was outside talking to their pets, talking to their people, talking like walking their dogs. But however, when I come outside, all of a sudden, all the airplanes want to come out. All of a sudden, all the people, everybody want to walk their dog. Everybody dog want to go in the uproar, barking and shit. But it's all right. I understand, girl. Okay, so let's actually get to some things. Let's actually get to some things, baby. Okay, so first things first. Let me slide this over. Let me lubricate my throat. Oh Lord. Okay, so of course we're gonna do the sociology book. Big ideas simply explained. So sociology, a social science that focuses on society, human social behavior, patterns of social relationships, and social interactions and aspects of culture associated with everyday life. Girl, let's get into it, baby. Okay, so we're gonna talk about religion. Of course, we already know that is a buzz topic over here, cause girl, everything that just about happens comes from a sociological aspect. Cause baby, we have to really get into these things because a lot of these issues keep happening through the media. A lot of these issues keep happening in life because we won't address the root cause. So we're gonna talk about these things. So religion. A personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. Come on, yes, ma'am. So let's actually get into it. So I'm gonna read this bad boy out to you. So what I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna start with the graph. So I'm gonna start with the bubble at the top. The bubble at the top says economic hardship prevents most people from achieving comfort and true happiness in this world. Now, as you guys see from the bubble at the top, it actually points to two other bubbles down below, the two black bubbles. I'm going to start with the one on the left. It says religion distorts this reality and encourages people to work hard, passively accept their lot, and endure suffering. And you guys remember before, I always talked about how religion sells people faith and hope. Okay. Now the other bubble says religion provides false hopes. Come on, hopes, and says that true happiness can only be attained in the heavenly afterlife. Girl, come on, let's get into it. This is going to be interesting. Now, let me get to reading, girl. Now, it says, according to the German philosopher George Hegel, it says, liberty in a full sense consists of participation in certain ethical institutions. More infamously, he also said that only in the state does man have rational existence. He believed that Christianity was the perfect religion for the emerging age of modernity because it reflected its spirit or geist, faith in reason and truth. However, because of the process of contradiction known as dialectic, contradiction, dialectic, by its own nature, something can contain its opposite. The social structures and institutions that people create to serve them can instead come to control and even enslave them. Ooh, girl. Oh, let me move my phone real quick because I'm over here hunched over and everything. Girl, come on. Ooh, girl. Let me see. Can I bring this closer? Can I bring this closer? Let me see if this can work. All right, it says the process of rational self-discovery can lead to alienation, a concept of estrangement that went on to help a profound influence on the social sciences. Now it says here, Ludwig. Now keep in mind, I'm about to butcher the hell out this man's name. Ludwig Fur, girl, Ludwig F., a German philosopher and former student of Hegel's, used the concept of alienation to criticize religion. Ludwig argues that people endow God with human qualities and then worship him for those qualities. So they unconsciously worship themselves. Bam, right there. Bam, right there. That's what we're talking about right here. You hold a philosophy that tells you to honor God and to honor his word and his gospel. But then right here, within the text, it says that, I'm going to read it again. Where are we? Where are we? Okay, it says right here. Ludwig argues that people endow God with human qualities. They think that they align God with human qualities and then worship him for those qualities. So they unconsciously worship themselves. Baby, this prevents them from fully realizing their own potential. The divine is no more than a projection of alienated human consciousness. Ooh, Karl Marx collaborator Frederick Engels acknowledged that Ludwig's the essence of Christianity had a profoundly liberating effect on them both in the 1840s. Girl, this gonna be interesting. Come on, this gonna be interesting. Now the thing that's now the next sub caption says, "Man makes a religion." Oh, let me get some water. I'm over here stumbling on my words, girl. Okay, it says, "Man makes religion." So Carl's father had converted from Judaism to Christianity, merely to ensure his job security. And yet he instilled in his son a belief that religion is necessary for morality. However, and that's so funny, a lot of people do believe that too. They think religion is just this thing that's going to give you all these morals and stuff, but don't realize that a lot of times because of your religion, your morals actually go out the window. But let's continue. However, from a relatively young age, Carl criticized the idea that a spiritual realm was needed to maintain social order. He later became convinced that secularization, decline in the social significance of religion will liberate people from mystical forms of social oppression. He outlined many of his ideas about religion in a contribution of the critique of Hegel's philosophy of right, 1844. Expanding upon the idea of alienation, Marx argues that the man makes religion, religion does not make man. People, he says, have forgotten that they invented God. I'm gonna repeat that again. He's saying this. I'm not saying that, y'all. He's saying this. Actually, let me go through some of these comments real quick. Let me see. This is one of the many reasons folk have stayed away from the church. Stop fleeing. Flee. Oh, come on, let's get into it. Girl, let's get into it. All right, so let me continue. Now, he said this. I'm not saying this, y'all. I will not be at the gates of heaven over here windmilling for my life because of what he said. Okay, so expanding upon the idea of alienation, Mark argues that man makes religion. Religion does not make man. People, he says, have forgotten that they have invented God, who has come to have a life to his own and now controls the people. What people have created, they can destroy. That the revolutionary working class, he believes, will realize that the ideologies and institutions of capitalist society which enslave them are not natural or inevitable, but can be overthrown. Now, I do agree. So, all in all, what he's saying, for those who don't really understand, all in all, what he's saying is basically that people have forgotten that this version of God or this idea of God, that since people attach human qualities with God, which subconsciously make them worship themselves and not the consciousness of themselves, they worship the superficial things about themselves. And they have this one idea of God and this false idea of God, but not realizing that they can overturn and overthrow all of that and know God for themselves, the true nature of God. But let's get straight into it. All right, so where was I? I done did all that talking, Lord Jesus. Okay, let me see. Okay, right here. Until then, religion will remain as a symptom of the disease caused by material. Come on, let's get into it. Get into it, bitch. All right, until religion will remain as a symptom of the disease caused by material deprivation. Girl, let's get into it. And human alienation, which creates such pain for its sufferers that they need the solace provided by religion. Girl, like the French philosopher Auguste Comte, for whom religious beliefs is an infertile state of reason. Marx, I'm gonna call him Max. I'm gonna call him Marx. I'm gonna call him Marx. Hopefully, I'm not butchering this man's name. I'll be trying to, y'all. I don't know what it is. When it comes down to me speaking, I can do that. But when it comes to me actually reading our piece of paper, I'll be butchering these people's names. That's another reason why I'll be trying to read this book, girl. Work up on it. Yeah. So Marx believes that in society progressing scientifically towards secularism. However, Marx is more critical of religion as a reflection of society rather than as a set of beliefs. His goal is to liberate. Oh, girl. I done did all that talking. Is to liberate the working class from the oppression of capitalism, and he argues that the ideas of the ruling class are those dominating society. And one of the priorities, girl, let me get this real quick. Baby. You know, another thing I found out too about reading these books too is that I start to low-key have certain vocabulary into my speech. Let me see what this word actually means. I don't know what this means. Apparatus. Actually, I'm gonna look it up on here. Let me do this. Y'all come with me. We're gonna look this up. Let me do this. Bam. So what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna go to Google. Bang. Not Google Slides, bitch. I said Google. Well, I'm gonna look up this word. APPARATUSES. Let's get into it. Let's see what this bad boy.
Apparatus.
Oh, apparatus. Let me see. The technical equipment or machinery needed for a particular activity or purpose. Okay. Well, I probably have heard this word before. It sounds familiar. Come on, apparatus. Come on, let's get into it. Yes, ma'am. Now let's get back to you. Ooh, I said let's get back. Okay, there we go. All right. So, by the way, yeah. And one of the apparatuses transmitting those ideas is the church. Okay, here we go. So, alrighty. So now, I'm right now at the sub caption says, well, the subheader actually, the church and the state. Now it says right here, in the 18th century England, an unknown wit described the Church of England as a political party at prayer. For Marx, any institution that serves capitalist interests, including religion, has to be contested and ultimately done away with. The replacement will be a humanist. Girl, let me get it together. I gotta stop doing this shit while I'm low-key sleeping. Humanist society based on socialism and communism. According to Marx, religion is why everybody want to do all their cars and stuff, girl. All these damn airplanes and shit. Is consolation and justification for the existing state and society. Churches proclaim that the authority of the ruling class is ordained by supernatural authority. Thus, the lowly position of the workers is inevitable and just. When a society is riven by inequality, injustice is perpetuated rather than eased. Ooh, I'm gonna read that again. That was real powerful. I'm gonna read that again. When a society is riven by inequality, injustice is perpetuated rather than ease. Marx declared the struggle against religion is therefore indirectly the struggle against the world, that world whose spiritual aroma is religion. This sentiment was echoed in the 1960s by British sociologist Brian Wilson, who claimed that the role of the church is to socialize each new generation into accepting their lot. Oop, come on, Heart of Inspiration. How you doing? It's interesting that the same Karl Marx created communism, which now people use to further separate. Oh, let's get into it. Get into it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Speak on it. Speak on it. Okay, so where was I? You know, another thing too. For one, I need to be doing this with my glasses too. I'm over here blind as a bat. Y'all pray for me, okay? Yeah, so it says Mark aims to expose the illusionary. Girl, I can't even freaking see. Yeah, illusory nature of religion and reveal it as an ideological tool of the girl. Y'all going to get this together, girl. Of the ruling class, because a belief in the hereafter serves as a comfort to the poor and the oppressed. Marx described religion as the ultimate of the people. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. The podium of the people. Russian revolutionary. Oh, girl, I'm about to butcher the hell out of this person's name. Vladimir Lenin. Girl, y'all see it. Lenin said it. Yeah, said it is a spiritual gin. Religion deadens the harsh realities of working class life, and through it, people are drugged into accepting their lowly positions in return for a better afterlife. In effect, religion can be understood as a potent form of social control that keeps the poor in their place and obstructs social change. Girl, you know, another thing I want to make sure that I want to get together. Hold up, because I didn't read this. Let me see. Can I find it? Bam. Okay, so actually, I didn't put it on here, but it's actually a quote up on here. It actually says this. It says, "It's now this is from Carl." That's what I'm gonna do. Every time his name comes, I'm just gonna say Carl. We're gonna do that. Now the quote is from Carl. It says, "Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature." And that's what really caught my attention when I was like, you know what? I feel like with this particular topic, this would be very appropriate to bring up. Because, girl. All right. So at the top, it says, Carl argues that religion is a belief system that enables the ruling class to maintain power. And keep in mind, y'all, I'm at the top left corner, the little caption at the top. It says Carl argues that religion is a belief system that enables the ruling class to maintain power in the present by promising the working class that things will be better in the hereafter. The poor find solace in moral teaching because ultimately they will reap a reward for their suffering. Social change is adverted because religion stabilizes society and upholds the status quo. Girl, let's get into it. Okay, so now we're at the bottom left corner. It says religion and radicalism. Now it says Carl does not over. Oh, girl, he scared the hell out of me. It says Carl does not overlook the fact that Christianity is a religion that grew out of oppression and that it has sustained and comforted those who are miserable and without hope. Like I said before, religion sells hope. Miserable and without hope. Religious suffering is both an expression of real suffering and a protest against real suffering. It is the side of oppressed people, which suggests that religion has a radical or potentially revolutionary aspect. In the 17th century England, for example, Puritanism. Oh, girl, I'll be over here butchering these nerves. Let me get it real quick. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this. Actually, what does that even mean? Let me actually look that up. We're gonna do this again. And by the way, how y'all feel in the comment section? Y'all let me know how y'all feel. How y'all feel? How y'all feel? How y'all feel? How y'all feel in the comment section? Y'all let me know. Oh, you already got it pulled up. Look at God. Praise him. Hallelujah. This bad boy right here. Let me first, how do you pronunciate the
Puritanism.
Puritanism?
Puritanism.
Puritanism. Okay. The beliefs or principles of a group of English Protestants of the late 16th and 17th centuries who regarded the reformation of the church under Elizabeth I as incompetent and sought to simplify and regular forms of worship. Okay, come on. I'm over here learning. Look at God. Praise him. Hallelujah. Girl. Girl, let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right, let me put this back up. Alrighty, so it says, I'm gonna start from the middle again. It says, which suggests that religion has a radical and or potentially revolutionary aspect. In the 17th century England, for example, Puritanism led to the execution of a king and the establishment of a republic. However, Carl says that the religion is the illusory happiness of the people. When the situation demands that, when the situation demands their real happiness, to call on them to give up their illusions about their condition is to call on them to give up a condition that requires illusions. Oh, that was deep. Oh, come on, that was deep. Water break. Mm. Girl, I'm over here going through it, baby. I got over here, got dogs barking, birds chirping, got a man over here on the phone. I hopefully I don't say that too loud because I do not need him over here trying to mess with me. All right, so to call on them to give up their illusions about their condition is to call on them to give up a condition that requires illusions. The task of history and philosophy, he declares, is to unmask self-estrangement in its unholy forms once the holy form of human self-estrangement has been unmasked. So Carl agreed with German sociologist Max Weber's premise that girl, all of these words be getting my tongue. I don't know what the hell going on. Protestantism, girl, y'all pray for my tongue, y'all. Protestantism had played a big role in establishing capitalism because it better satisfied the commercial needs of 16th century merchants and later industrialists. Hard work accompanied by reward was at the heart of Protestant philosophy, and Calvinists in particular looked upon material success as a sign of God's favor. Don't take no breaks on God. Oh, good. I know that's right. Like I said yesterday, you know what I feel like? And by the way, keep in mind too, me breaking and stopping every once in a while is very strategic, okay? Because when you're reading anything and you're learning anything, you must take breaks. But you know what I feel like? Oh, I'm over here wasting stuff. You know what I feel like? I feel like them pastors, and I said this yesterday, I feel like them pastors, when they have people read, and the person probably read like one line, they be like, stop. And then he said, they be like, stop. And so what that means is yada, 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 yada. But let's get back into it. If I can find where the hell I was, girl. What the hell I was? Oh, yeah, here we go. Since Carl describes the Reformation, the Reformation of Germany's revolutionary past, a revolution that began in the brain of a monk. As he puts it, Luther, he says, overcame bondage out of devotion by replacing it with bondage out of conviction. Luther turned priests into laymen because he turned laymen into priests. In Carl's view, Protestantism did not offer. Oh, let me make sure I do the page now, because last time I had y'all over here just listening to me. Not offer the true solution to the problem, but it did provoke a true setting whereby a man's struggle was now no longer against the clergy. Oh, girl, I be over here. I know damn well I be sounding dumb reading this shit. What is either gonna what is gonna say some stupid shit? What do you want, Martin? I'm over here. I'm on live. Y'all give me 2.5 seconds. Period, bitch. I was right. Period. So, like I said, clergy. You was done? Okay, got you. Clergy. What the hell? Yeah, clergy outside of the outside, but the priestly nature inside himself. Meanwhile, the social status quo presented a further obstacle to real human emancipation, whereas the landowners and capitalists became richer in this world. The reward for the working class for toiling long hours for little pay was a place in heaven. Suffering is made into a virtue. Carl is concerned by the role of the church as a landowner and employer in the 19th century, and sees this as further evidence that religion is no more ideological tool used by the ruling classes to control the workers. Girl, we're gonna get into it. Thank you, Hart, because girl, y'all, you know what I mean. Water break, girl. So let's get into this next bad boy. An irreligious workforce. In Britain, the establishment feared that working people were losing touch with organized religion and turning instead to other Christian religious groups or working class political movements, such as Chartism. For this reason, what is Chartism? Let me see. Once again, we're gonna pull this up. Now another time. So let me just invite y'all to my world. This is what I do. What I do is that let me see. When I'm reading, especially when I be butchering these words, I'll be like, girl, people like, how do you know? How do you improve on your vocabulary and how do you, do all these things and yada yada yada. This is what I do. I read, especially if I struggle on a word or I don't know how to pronunciate it. I look that bad boy up. Most definitely put that bad boy in the dictionary. I most definitely press the how the hell you pronunciate this shit. And it lets me know how to pronunciate it. I get the definition of it. And then all of a sudden, after me reading that bad boy, it's into my vocabulary. And okay, so Chartism was a large working class movement for political reform in Britain that erupted from 1838 to 1856 and was strongest in 1839, 1842, and 1848. It was fiercely opposed by government authorities who finally suppressed the movement. Oh, girl. Okay, I done learned something new. Let's get into it. We're gonna get right back. Oh, another thing too. It is getting kind of dark. I don't think it'd have been smart for me to be out here, but I'm a thug it out. I'm a gangster. Okay, where was I? Yes. Okay, so for this reason, a census of religious worship was carried out in 1851. This revealed working class apathy as well as a divide in society between the conservative established Church of England and the meeting houses and chapels were followers of newer popular religions such as Quakerism and Unitarianism. You what the hell, bitch? It's dark as hell. Unitarianism. Girl, we're gonna get into that. Yeah, girl, you already know I'm over here working. And plus on top of that, I need to work on my damn reading. Let me see. What is this? Let me see. U-turn. Oh, look at me learning, girl. Okay. First of all, how do you pronunciate this? Let me actually see. Okay. Unitarianism. Yeah, it's a form of Christianity that denies the doctrine of the Trinity. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So now I actually got okay. It's a form of Christianity. Okay. That denies the doctrine. Okay, that's good. Okay, I got you. Okay, so it says in 1961, the consolidation of the girl, how do you pronunciate this? Let me see. Let me see. Pronunciation. Let's get into it, girl. Oh, girl, you gonna have me do a video for this? Girl, you got me do a video for this? Well, shit, it don't hurt, wouldn't hurt nobody. Play, bitch. Oh, okay, I was right. Look at me, bitch. Oh God, I ate that. I ate that shit the fuck up. I ate that. Oh my God, I ate that. Okay, so I found out I was right. Come on, Unitarianism. Okay, what was I? I done lost my damn spot per usual. And hopefully y'all enjoying yourselves, cause baby, I'll be over here acting a fool on purpose. Let me see. Yes, Christianity was never ever monolithic. Girl, I didn't know that. Keep in mind, I come from the black church. And when it comes to the black church, I only know one version of Christianity. To be honest with you, all this having the actual knowledge on what's the church's history fully. Like, of course, I knew they were actually burning witches or people they thought were witches and stuff like that. But all this reform, like as in knowing the reform of the church and all this other things, I got vague knowledge on that. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, as you guys can tell. Okay, so let me go back and see where the hell I was. Okay, here we go. Yes, Unitarianism gathered. Okay, so it says Methodism, a Protestant denomination focused on helping the poor, was extremely popular in many working class areas in the manufacturing centers of Britain. Ooh, okay. It says it's also attracted the new factory owners who were both perturbed by the apparently irreligious nature of their workers and shocked by their vices such as drunkenness. I probably need to go inside the house, girl, because I can't barely sleep. Offering offering Carl further evidence of religion being used as an ideological tool by the ruling classes. Some owners coerced workers into attending services. Not they had to make people go into services. Now that doesn't sound like something that's you should be into if they have to force you to do it. Let me see. Yeah, into attending services, Bible study classes, educational talks, and hobbies in an attempt to educate them into a decent, sober existence, one that would enable them to work more efficiently, divesting the. And that's the thing too. It's like, did you really do that just so they can work more effectively? As in, you were actually concerned about their well-being, or you did that just for your own personal gain? You did that for your own personal agenda. Come on, questions. Okay, it says divesting them of energy is, yeah, in this way also, want to make sure I'm on the right page. Yeah, in this way also thwarted their revolutionary potential and ensured they become the compliant workhorse. I knew it. There we go. My question got answered. There we go. Workhorses of industry. Come on, I'm over here. Answer my question. Yes, ma'am. Come on, Divine. Now it says Western intellectuals such as A.C. Grayling, the late Christopher Hitchens, and Richard Dawkins. Sometimes now y'all see how I read those names, and to my interpretation, I didn't butcher their names, and that's on period, bitch. I know that's right. Sometimes branded the new atheists. Ooh, share many of Carl's sentiments about religion, namely that as arguably the first attempt at philosophy, religion is interesting, but is a form of alienation. Oh, let's get into it. Let's get into it. When you join a religion, okay, come on, alienation. Okay, let me see. Alienation, both emotional and intellectual, and a poor substitute for social justice and happiness. However, Carl himself, in his observations about the Reformation, acknowledged religious potential for radical thought and social action. There go them dogs barking in the background. Here we go. The part that non-conformist religions played in Britain during more than a century of progressive social reform later demonstrated this in seeking an answer as to why religion has has not faded away in the 21st century. Now, it says Jürgen Habermas acknowledges. Now, keep in mind, y'all, if I butcher this word, you can blame it on my tongue, not my heart. Now, it says Jürgen Habermas acknowledges the important public role played by religious communities in many parts of the world today, in spite of widespread secularism, secularization, my bad. I need to go inside. No one speaks of the extinction of religions or the religious. And I think that's my cue to take my ass on the inside because the port, like, I ain't got no light out here. So y'all give me 2.5 seconds so I can continue. Oh, girl, I'm back now. I done got me some light now. Now, just so you guys know, while I was over here butchering all them words, like I don't know what, because baby, I could barely see. I was like, I'm a gangster. I'm just gonna thug it out. Yeah, it really wasn't working out. I probably should do that from the beginning. But however, ain't gonna stop the grind. Now, let me see. So, after all of that, so just to be clear, basically, religion was used as a tool. Of course, we already knew that. It was used for other agendas. It's used for being able to keep the working class working and having, it's once again selling hope to the working class, selling hope to the working class, and giving them giving them the faith and the hope to be able to endure the fuck shit so that the rich can be rich. But however, the working class is going to continue to suffer and be okay with it, just because they have this idea of knowing that their salvation is going to be in the afterlife. Girl, let me go through some of these comments because I got one more section. Anytime there is a movement, those in power absorb the movement and remove the power from it. Girl, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. One of my ancestors got thrown out of the church for being drunk in the church. Or, but aren't they the ones that literally tell people come as you are? Aren't they really the ones that really tell people to come as you are? So are people really coming as they are, or you just are we just saying that just saying it just to say it? Let me see. Most some don't want to be the servants, they want to be served, and that's what he said. You guys don't honor me. But however, I feel like I have to share this shit I'm so glad I made this particular slide because I feel like I have to share this every single time I make a video. What the flying hell? Once again, here we go. Unwillingness to render humble service. Humble. It's the humble part. Humble. A lot of times, if you're not leading from your ego, you wouldn't have to run into all of this stuff. All right, so let me continue. God, let me find my page. All right, so next. So that was, I really wanted to touch up on the sociological aspect when it comes down to religion, of course. Oh yeah, give me 2.5 seconds. Okay, so what we're going to talk about right now is oligarchy. Oligarchy. What is oligarchy? So it's a form of government in which a small group of people hold most or or all political power. So we're gonna get into that bad boy. So, of course, I got my link down below, let you know where I got that definition from. But however, I'm pretty sure the book is gonna let us know what the hell going on. Let's get into it. Now, this is the only page for this particular section. Thank by the grace of God. Hallelujah. Okay. Let me get my stuff together. Oh Lord. Let me see. Let me go a few more comments before I actually start this. Okay, so let me get started. Now, at the top, it says the iron law of oligarchy. Now, it now says bureaucracy is an enemy of individual liberty. According to Robert, this is so much better. I can actually see the words. Hallelujah. To Robert Michaels. That must definitely say anything. Well, I'm gonna say Michaels. In the early 20th century, he pointed out the link between bureaucracy and political oligarchy. The rule of many by the few. In his observations of political parties and unions, he saw that the size of and complexity of democracies require hierarchy. Girl, come on, hierarchy. A leadership with a clear chain of command and separate from the masses is needed, resulting in a pyramid-like structure that places a few leaders in charge of vast and powerful organizations. Now it says Michael applies Max Weber's idea that a hierarchy of responsibility increases efficiency, and argues that this concentrates power and endangers democracy. The interests of the elites of organizations rather than the needs of the people. I'm going to read that again. It says Michael applies Max Weber's idea that a hierarchy of responsibility increases efficiency, but argues that this concentrates power and endangers democracy. The interests of the elites of organizations rather than the needs of the people become the key focus despite professed democratic ideals. So it says Michael stresses that the self-interest of those at the top of organizations always comes to the fore, of course, aka forefront. He says, let me know when you take a break. Oh, y'all funny. It says keeping your positions of power becomes an important role of bureaucracies, such as political parties, and maintaining an air of mystery. Ooh, and girl, like I told y'all, everybody coming out, air of mystery and superiority through through complex voting systems, use of arcane language and subcommittees helps to ensure this. Now, what I told y'all, now keep in mind, y'all, what I told you, I was outside. And as soon as I get outside, now all of a sudden, everybody wanna come outside, talk to their cats. The lady just came out here with her cigarettes, talk about some cat. So you mean tell me you didn't even name the cat? You calling for the cat? You didn't name the cat? Girl, everybody wanna come outside as soon as I go live, girl. Let me see. I done lost where I was. Language. Oh, and subcommittees help to ensure this. Officials tend to be well insulated from the consequences of their decisions. Ooh, get into it. Bureaucracy protects them because against public accountability. Oligarchy thrives in the hierarchical structure of bureaucracy and frequently undermines people's control over their elected leaders. Girl. We can get into it. Oh no, you can do it. Okay, that's good. That's good, Heart. Yeah, she most definitely. Okay, so I'm on a break right now because girl, I got one more section to get through, girl. Then we gonna get into some bullshit. Then I'm gonna drop the link and people come up. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Y'all let me know. Let me know. Did you like it? Did you didn't like it? What you? Wait. Are you coming up, KO? Because I'm gonna drop the link at the end. Are you coming up, or you want to come up, or you just gonna type it? Because I'm planning on dropping the link at the end. Baby, but let me continue until then. Baby, I like your style. Ooh, baby, I like your style. So we're also going to get into this because this was very interesting when I was looking at it. Now, keep in mind when it comes down to this, I'm not going to read this whole section, but because I'm pretty sure I'm going to, especially when it comes down to when prisons and stuff come up, I will be reading that particular. There is a witch hunt going on for CTV. I don't know. But CTV should know. I'll talk. Well, you come DM me on Instagram and let me know, and then I'll talk to him about it if anything. Okay, but thank you. Okay, once again, everybody coming outside with their kids. Okay, so let me do this, girl. Let me get myself together. So we got. Here we go again. Here you go again. Here we go again. Okay, so we got in. Hold up, y'all. Give me 2.5 seconds. Yeah, so KO, make sure that you DM me on Instagram. Strictly Reckless. Strictly Reckless has released her girl. Yeah. Make sure that you DM me because they don't want these issues. They don't want these problems. They don't want these issues or problems. But it's all right because things can really turn upside down. No shade, but it's all right. It is 100% okay. Give me 2.5 seconds, y'all. Okay, so now we have institutionalization. Now, keep in mind, y'all, I'm not going to read this whole section, but I will be reading a part of this section. The process or no, the act or process of establishing a new norm in a society. Now, keep in mind, a new norm, of course, we all understand what is something that's not normal at the time, but however, it's the plan, the blueprint for is to become normal in a society that does not always mean actual society. It actually means group of people. Well, that does mean society, but group of people. It could be prison. It could be an organized group. Just to take it a step further. So let me actually go through because it's actually a part of here I actually wanted to really talk about. Let me see. Okay, it's two parts that I want to talk about. So the first one is going to talk about where is it? Bam, right here. Oh. Okay, never mind. That's what you did. Okay, so right here. It says breaking down the self. Now, this is very interesting to me because of, now keep in mind, I got a whole bunch of background and stuff going on, but this is very interesting to me because as everybody knows, I'm in the army and stuff. And when it came down to, I thought you the one that opened it. You didn't open it? Now that shit opened by itself. You didn't open it? Oh, I thought it opened. I'm gonna mess stuff up. But yeah, I'm in the army and stuff, y'all. And so when I was actually going through basic training and stuff, when I was looking at this stuff and it started talking about breaking down the self, it really stuck out to me because then when I started to actually think about some of the tactics that they were actually using to, I guess, get us to a certain point emotionally, spiritually, trying to see how we will react to things, they actually use, in my opinion, some of these tactics. So we're going to talk about breaking down the self. The process begins with the breaking down. The process begins with the breaking down of the old self. The patients are sometimes either forcibly committed or tricked by family members and health professionals into entering an institution. Now, keep in mind, y'all, when I do this, of course, since we didn't read the beginning, with the context just might be a little weird in the beginning. So with that being said, y'all make sure y'all just grasp the message, leave out the specifics. Aren't you? Yeah, it says institution and discover that these same people are stripping them of their rights. In this way, they lose their autonomy and experience humiliation and a challenge to their identity, perhaps by having their actions or their sanity questioned. Now, the reason why I thought this was very interesting because of when I started thinking about how religion or even organized groups even played a part. Now, keep in mind as well too. Not only have because I actually experienced this three times. One through religion, two, of course, I'm in the army, and three, I was actually in an organized group in high school. I was actually in band. And of course, anyone who's ever been in band, they always have a crab year. Your crab year, you kind of get treated like shit. And I don't care, even if this is high school, you get treated like crap. It's certain things that we could and could not do, like on the if we have like an away game, you have to sit at the front of the bus and you have to have your head hold like down. You had to do certain things you couldn't say, you couldn't talk. It was a lot of you couldn't talk at the games. It was a lot of things that went on. So that was very interesting to me. Let me see. Okay, so it says the admission of the hospital continues this breaking down process, being photographed, having personal possessions confiscated, fingerprints taken, and undressing. And actually, when I was actually in basic training, they actually did all of those things. Well, of course, now being photographed, well, for our IDs, we had to be photographed. Having personal possessions confiscated, they most definitely took all of our phones and all of our personal items. They took everything from our asses, and they cut our hair. They took our fingerprints and stuff, put us into the system, and undressing. They made us shower together and stuff. Now, keep in mind, now of course not together as all together, but however, we saw each other naked, no shade. All these procedures chip away at the old self. Now, it says Goffman argues that our sense of self is partly invested in our appearance, the things we own, and the clothes we wear. If these are changed or taken away, people are given a message that we are no longer the person they were. Come on, let's get into it. Once admitted, this feeling is continually, let me get over, page flip, continually. Actually, before I even do all of that, I'm gonna finish out this paragraph, and then we're gonna look at the graph at the top. Now, it says emphasize, for example, by having to ask permission to go to the toilet. This adds to what Goffman calls a mortification of the self, which is brought about by the humiliations and degradation, girl, it's baby on my tongue, of such a life. Now, we're going to do this. Let's go up to the top right here. Now, it says mortification of the self. It's Goffman's terms for an institutional process whereby an individual is stripped of a sense of self. A personal identity is transformed into an organizational identity as patient or inmate. Girl, it's so funny that they're saying all this because this is what we felt like being inside of basic training, but it felt like prison with pay. That's the reason why I'm talking about all this stuff. Just keep in mind, y'all. Prison with pay. At an outset, the old self is partly defined by trappings such as possessions and clothing. Within the institutional maze, by becoming a number, getting a haircut, or a uniform. Come on, let's get into it. They did all of this. Getting a haircut or a uniform, having freedom curtailed through physical restraints, and one's behavior modified by rules or perhaps through medication, a compliant new self is forged. This is so interesting. That's exactly everything that they did. Now it says clothes and possessions taken away. Then right under it, it says haircut. Girl, that's the old self. Now we got the new self. Movement restrained, and then we have individual medicated. Oh my God. Now keep in mind, y'all. Let me see. Girl, we over here learning, girl. Now, okay, so y'all, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. For my next video, for one, I'm gotta make sure I be in some light, because baby, that first thing I read, I was butchering the hell out them words. I couldn't see nothing. And on top of it, I gotta make sure I have my glasses. Then second thing, I'm over here getting ate the hell up by these mosquitoes. And then a third thing, everybody keep coming outside. Everybody keep coming outside, and they all just talking and doing all this other stuff, girl. It's just too much going on. These mosquitoes tearing me up, girl. Hold up. Mm. Now, let's get into it. Okay, it says, okay, what was I? Okay, here we go. It says usual. Now we have the second paragraph, y'all, right here. It says usual face-saving ways of coping with these situations, such as sarcasm or profanity, are not possible in total institutions because punishment will ensue. Inmates have to make a primary adjustment to the organizational demand and end up in the placent state where they can be easily controlled, enabling the institute to function effectively. The system of privileges and reward used by the institution in return for work in the kitchen or elsewhere. So here's the thing. This is the reason why I want to bring this up. Because now we're actually talking about institutionalized and I guess this the reason why I really want to talk about this, because this is what I actually seen in real life. Now I'm going to finish out this particular section, and then I'm actually going to talk about some real life, and really bring this all home. Because some people may be like, why the hell you keep talking about this other things? But it's a purpose for all this. Alrighty, so what was I? Yeah. Yes, as inmates have to make a primary adjustment to the organizational demand and often end up in a placent state where they can be easily controlled, enabling the institution to function effectively. The system of privileges and reward used by the institution in return for work in the kitchen or elsewhere can help to focus an inmate's energy and attention and give a new sense of purpose and meaning while keeping them compliant. In some cases, the institution can overwhelm the inmate, resulting in either conversion or colonization. Oh, not colonization. In an asylum, conversion is when a patient accepts hospital's definition. Oh, girl, I'm over here getting ate up by these mosquitoes. Definition of them. For example, as being emotionally disturbed and then tries to conform to what is expected to the ideal patient. Okay, so here's the thing, because I want to make sure I talk about this too. Let me talk about this. The reason why I want to talk about this, because you actually think about the institutionalized aspects of religion. This is actually what people go through when, for example, queer people, like this last part. In an asylum, conversion is when a patient accepts a hospital's definition of them. Of course, we're not talking about hospital. We're talking about church. We're talking about religion. So it talks about in an asylum, conversion is something a patient accepts or a member accepts a hospital's, aka a religion's definition of them. For example, as being emotionally disturbed or an abomination, and then tries to conform to what is expected of the ideal patient. Colonization, according to government, is when the institution's regimen. Ooh, hold on, y'all. I just got a text. 2.5 seconds, y'all. I just got a text. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so it says colonization, according to government, is when the institution's regime engulfs the inmate so that the world inside seems preferable to the outside, and the inmate would be unstable to function in the world outside of the institution. So this is like the fear tactics that religions play. This is the fear tactics that religions actually they realm in, because what they do, they say that you are part of the world but not of the world. You are in the world but you're not of the world. This is one of the tactics that also play into what we're talking about. This also goes into when they say things like, oh, we're godly, we're this, we're that. But however, people out in the real world or the way that the world is operating is satanic, is demonic, all of these things. Well, where was I? Actually, I prefer me. Okay, yes. Okay, so another thing I also did see, I was watching this particular video about cults. And so when I was watching this particular video about cults, it was talking about the Jewish, I forgot the name of it. What was the name? Oh, Jehovah's Witness. There we go. Come on, Jehovah. So Jehovah's Witness, they talked about how they would go door to door and they would, of course, preach the gospel and try to get people to convert. So in this particular video, they was talking about cults and talking about Jehovah's Witness and how it's a cult-like organization. So in that, they was talking about the fear tactics that they would actually utilize. So what they would utilize, they would tell them that a particular rapture, of course, the rapture was going to be here. They had a different name for it. The rapture is going to come. You got to make sure you be good with God. You got to make sure you're good with the Most High. You got to make sure that you're ready when they come. It was all of these fear tactics. And so this woman was literally talking about how when she left, it was a scary feeling because that's all she knew. All she knew was Jehovah's Witness. All she knew was the lifestyle and her life as a Jehovah's Witness, because she grew up as a Jehovah's Witness as a little girl. And her parents were Jehovah's Witness. So the thing that she said, that when she actually transitioned out of being a Jehovah's Witness, she said that it was extremely scary because she was taught and she was told all of these different sinister things about the world that wasn't really true. And keep in mind, the reason why she left is because she was sexually assaulted as a child. And it was a cult, so no one said anything. And that's another reason why I wanted to talk about the institutionalization, because the reason I want to talk about the institutionalization is because of a lot of times we have these questions of, why do these people act like this? Why don't nobody say nothing? Why didn't you do this? Why you do that? And keep in mind, these people, and people always talking about that Stockholm syndrome or whatever. These people have been conditioned. This is how programming works. It comes from breaking. Actually, let me see. Can I look something else up too? Because now I'm kind of getting in the zone when it comes down to this. Let me see. Can I look something up? Let me see. We're gonna leave you. We're gonna leave you. Cult, because it actually brought up. Oh, what the hell? It actually brought up very, very interesting viewpoints. Let me see. Cult. I forgot the name of it. Cult. Cult. I'm gonna say cult. Let's see. I'm trying to see what was the episode. I'm gonna see, can I find it? I'm gonna drop this down. Let me bring this down. Remove. Damn. Right here. So I'm gonna see, can I find this? So I'm while I'm looking for this, I'm gonna continue talking. But yes, a lot of these people have been institutionalized, whether that's from a religion, whether that's from organized whether that's from like an organized organization, like something simple as band. Like, let's see, can I find it? What was the name of it? It was explained. It was that. Oh, but I'm trying to see what was the thing. Okay, there we go. Here we go. I think this is it. Is this it? Manipulative. Okay, let me see. Let me see. Steps on how to remember. I wish I could remember all of it. Let me see. Steps on how to how to I'm trying to see. While we do that, let me do this. Let me actually drop this down for a second. But yes, let me say this. A lot of times too, when it comes, these people have been institutionalized. It goes from religion, it goes from organized sports, it goes from, of course, on extreme cases, organized organizations, something simple as band. Like one of the things that the woman said is that people they worked as robots. It was no there was no type of having your own individual thought. You were in a hierarchy. Of course, you had an authority figure, and with that authority figure, you idolized that authority figure. You looked at this authority figure as, if not God, damn near God. Um, if not in God's chair, he probably was right, like in the second chair, in the vice president's chair or something. I don't know, but I remember on this particular episode, they actually talked about how cults will literally low key get people to join. So I'm trying to see if I can find it because that will really, really drive the point home and really dig deep into some more different more convers, different more, some more conversations. Let me see steps on how to recruit for a cult. I'm gonna just use that. See, can does that work? Baby, let's see. It says an organization. Hello. Let me see. Let's see. Can I use this? Okay, maybe this is it. We're gonna see. We're just gonna see. Maybe this. Okay, there we go. I found it. Let me go back. I think I found it right here. Bam. It could work. Steps to cult indoctrination. Oh, now my phone going off, girl. Okay, so right here, there we go. Right here. Bam, I got it. Ha ha. Alrighty. Let's see, can I actually click on this bad boy? How to make a cult. Oh Lord Jesus, girl. I don't want to do all that, girl. Let me see. The 7 elements. So yes, it was talking about these things. Of course, having control, mystical manipulation, demand for purity, confession, a sacred science, loading the language, doctrine over person, and dispensing of existence. So this is where we come into where they want to have control. They want to have control. They want to
Same here.
like they want to have control. Like they want to have control over people. Now, when it comes down to the mystical manipulation, of course, you want to have someone that is looked at as God, or you want to have somebody actually be God. And so, with those, what they would do, they would use text and manipulate the text, or have their own version of the text, and then, however, try to justify the fuck shit about justify the fuck shit that they want people to do and be okay with. You get what I'm saying? So, also, what this says, demand for purity, as in having you thinking that what you're doing is wrong, even if it is wrong, or even if you just about it's not accepted, but it's not wrong. Get what I'm saying? Having you view yourself as dirty, having you view yourself as messed up, view yourself as wrong, as being dirty, and thinking that it's a mandatory thing for you to get right with Christ, join our side. That's the same reason why they have missionaries. It's the same reason why they have us have Jehovah's Witness. They have people trying to convert people. Confession. They want you to make a confession. This can either be, of course, through the Catholic Church, of how they will literally have people go to the priest, make confessions. They will literally so you can have a sense of confiding into this institution. It could also come to talking to the pastor. It could also come from actually having prayer. But however, keep in mind, even though you're having prayer, which is something that we all do, it's a way of being able to release whatever we're holding in. But keep in mind too, like I mentioned earlier when it came down to the text, a lot of times people have this version of God, and they align this particular version with God with human characteristics and qualities, which means that they subconsciously want to worship themselves, and and with this particular version of God, it's a messed up version of God. So when they're giving out this confessions, they're not giving out or praying out their confessions to a pure version of God, the consciousness of God, what they're doing, they're praying to a religion's version of God and expecting something to happen. In so many words. And keep in mind, y'all, this is improv too, so I'm over here struggling to get this out, okay? So yeah, that a sacred science. Of course, you want to think of your religion as being sacred. You want to think of your religion as being something that is not to really be touched, as in this is something that is pure. This is something that is, in so many words, sacred. You know what I'm saying? Of course, loading the language. You want to load the language. And also, this is something I also said before. And this is something that conscious told me. The difference between spirituality and religion. Religion is really holds on to the actual biblical text, and religion actually holds on to the text of particular doctrine. Compared to spirituality, it actually focuses on the relationship of between you and said deity. You get what I'm saying? Now, dispensing of existence. Now, this is what gets. Now, this right here goes with the institutionalism, being institutionalized, because what happens now once they have humiliated you, they have disrespected you. What they would do. Yeah, so after they have humiliated you, and they have disrespected you, and they kind of went through the process of trying to indoctrinate you. By this point, you're not having no free thought. At this point, you're not thinking as an individual. You're thinking as a cult. You're thinking as an organization. And this is the reason why, when it comes down to churches and a lot of times pastors. Now, this is the reason why I'm bringing it back in. This is the reason why, when it comes down to pastors being so comfortable to be in the pulpit and actually say a whole bunch of fuck shit in the pulpit, and a lot of times, a lot of members do not check or feel the need to approach pastors or people in authority, or have an influence, is because at this point they're not operating in their self. They're operating as an organization. They're operating as, we're going to focus on the doctrine and not really the relationship. They're not aware. They're not aware. And so a lot of times people ask things and say things like, okay, so why are all these people are not saying anything? Why are these people okay with it? Why are these people just kind of like a cult? Because they have been indoctrinated with it, to be honest with you. But to be completely honest, that's all I really wanted to say on it. I'm going to drop the link. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Let me know how you feel. Let me know, it's a yay or nay. Let me know, was the pastor wrong? Was he right? Were you here for it? Were you not here for it? I'm about to drop the link. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. Let's get into it. Let me see. This is, once someone gets baptized as a Jehovah Witness, all the rules change and you no longer have any freedom. And that's the other thing. Remember, I said that. Hey, Anya. I said that. I didn't say, hey, girl, I was up here butchering. I was over here reading all in the dark. I don't know what the hell wrong with me. Girl.
You straight. You straight. It happened. Listen, man, I personally think that preacher was full of BS with apology. I really don't understand, for the likes of me, how people, I understand how Stockholm syndrome works, but everybody in that church could not have been like really full. Like, I just don't understand nobody's getting up, like going off on it. Like, it's just amazing. And to your point, what you were saying earlier about pastors, if they're full-time, I definitely agree with you. If they're full-time pastors, I do believe that the congregation should support them financially, but that's only like their needs. You understand what I'm saying? All that want, like jury and all of that, like for what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't even be that materialistic to be wanting to walk around with a $4,000 watch as a pastor. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it does, you can have nice things and all of that, but it's just like priorities. First of all, that's like the first priority. You know, I don't know how that helps the congregation to have a pastor that is flashy, flamboyant in style, and a congregation is struggling. I don't know what message that sends your congregation. Now, if you are the type of pastor that is encouraging, you know what I'm saying, your congregation, if you have like in your sermons or, you know, just your teachings, you're teaching empowerment, you know what I'm saying, you're encouraging people to go out there and get the bag by any means, you know, to educate themselves, you know, more or whatever. I don't see nothing wrong with having nice things if you have a congregation that you are pushing and supporting to have the same as well.
Yes, yes, and I do agree. I do 100% agree.
But
And so,
you know what? Not to cut you off, Reckless. A lot of pastors don't want their congregation to flourish, whether it's financially or spiritually, because they want to keep them. They want to keep them pigeonholed because they know that most times, if you ever paid attention, I know you don't fool with church folks and all that no more. But when you was going to church, if you ever paid attention, the people that were the congregants that were financially stable, the ones that had like they were had a high level of education, let's say it that way, the pastor never tried to devalue them, never tried to abuse them or anything. They actually, you know what I'm saying, kiss their behinds because they know those are the people that, you know what I'm saying, they have to cater to get the coin. You know what I mean? But the ones that they feel always, you know what I mean, they feel like are less than, those are the ones that they abuse. So I noticed that bit too when I was going to church, and it was like, y'all have an exception. It's like the classism, you know what I'm saying, that goes on in church. It's horrible.
But here's the thing, and this is another reason why I wanted to bring up the. Okay, I got all these people all in the background, girl. Let me bring this mic close. I think, okay, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Okay, so I think the neighbors over here fighting. I think the husband and wife over here fighting. So I'm gonna be low key being nosy, but I'm gonna say this. Okay, so
let us know. Okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to be nosy. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. When it comes down, that's the reason why I really want to touch on different sociological aspects of it. So when it comes down to the being institutionalized, that's the reason why a lot of times when it comes down to the congregation, they don't see nothing about it. They see nothing wrong with it. And to also add another layer, being melanated, we also follow a lot of respectability politics, which means that we don't think it's appropriate to check the authority figure. Because a lot of times too, a lot of us grew up in households that when your parent in particular, your authority figure comes in front of you and says anything, you cannot check them. So I believe that is one. The other one, when it comes down to the whole thing about religion, showing how it sells faith, showing how we associate this version of God with human qualities, and we're subconsciously honoring ourselves, but not in a way to where we always talk about finding God within yourself, but in a way of having this mutated version of God that's really based off of qualities that really doesn't hold any substance. Oh, hey, Purple Lover, that really does not hold any substance. So when you add in all of these factors, and then you think about, we actually take it to the point of what I said about religion, and then now it makes sense why he said what he said when it came down to him talking about, you guys don't honor me. You know what you mean, honor you? Because we already have this version of God that's associated with this human qualities, and now we're worshiping ourselves, and then you have an oppressed people, and now we are in a hierarchy in a business, aka the church, inside of a nation that has always disrespected us and kept us oppressed. But now you're in a situation and in an environment that gives you some sense of power and identity that was historically stripped from you, but then given back to you through the guides of religion, and not being able to address those traumas. Now all of a sudden you're abusing your power, and now you don't understand the right way to be able to handle things. Now, hopefully I worded that right, because this is impromptu.
Period. I just share this short story. Hey, Perk.
Hi.
I'm a natural rebellious person anyway.
I know that's right.
I don't know why I've always been this way, but I learned how to be rebellious in a positive way. But I can recall when my back in my home church, I can recall when we lost the last pastor, because every time a pastor passed in our church, it was always someone that was from within the body that would step into the position. You know, we were voting in, things of that nature. Well, we had someone that came in that we had no proof or evidence that this person was licensed, that he was fluent in the with the scriptures or anything. So we, as the body, we were divided, right? We wanted the ones that we wanted proof. You know, it was like half of us wanted proof. We wanted to, you know what I'm saying? We felt like it hadn't been enough time that has gone by per the standards they set and the rules they set. Enough time hadn't gone by for the church to grieve, et cetera, et cetera. Well, from what I was always taught when I was, you know, active, they taught us that if the church was divided, that we weren't supposed to take communion, right? So I went to the proper channels. From what we were told, I asked, how do we call for emergency business meeting so that we can get these matters handled? And the chairman of the deacon board, he canceled the meeting without notifying all of us, right? So now, instead of everyone being there to have this meeting, no one, you know, only the people that had the question, the ones that wanted to question, but it was no one in a title that held anyone in a position that held the title there to call the meeting to order. So we couldn't have the meeting, right? That was on a Saturday. The following day was that first Sunday of the month. And they wanted to take communion. And I went and took the whole entire communion set. I let them set up and everything. I took the communion set and I went before the congregation before the service started. And I asked, why are we taking communion if we are divided? I don't understand how y'all teach one thing, want us to adhere, but really don't want us to adhere. It's only adhere when it works for you all. And long story short, I was the only one that stood up and you know what I'm saying, and questioned everything and was not going, I'm a tithe paying member. You're not going to take my money and just handle me any kind of way. I don't operate that. That don't work for me. And so long story short, I was the worst thing. They called the police, and I was the worst thing. You know, and I'm like, when the police came, I'm like, I did what they said. We're not supposed to take communion. And they wanted to know, like, well, what gives you the right to take the communion set? So my great aunt, who bought the communion set, donated it to the church. She said, well, I still have my receipt for it. It's my set, and I want it back because we're not supposed to take communion. And the police officer, the next police officer that came, he was like, y'all church folk, this can't be serious. So y'all upset with this young lady because y'all taught her that the church isn't supposed to take communion, and she took the communion set to keep y'all from doing what y'all taught her that y'all shouldn't be doing.
It's the mindfuck.
And right now to this day, when you're talking about, we had 300 members. They don't even have 10 members in that church. This is not a pandemic or anything. That very picture that they put in charge has literally raked the church broke. He solicits money from members that are no longer affiliated with the church, that's living everywhere else but in that state. And I said, y'all started complaining about how this man was abusive. I mean, he shut everything down, and I'm like, but y'all don't even see. Y'all have a mentality that literally begs. It's like y'all so oppressed that y'all will tolerate anything. Y'all want to put someone in control of your lives instead of like really allowing God, the Most High, that's inside of you. He's supposed to dwell inside of you and give you discernment. But y'all look for everybody else to lead y'all but yourselves. I'm confused by that.
Yeah. But of course, the era, it's the era that we in, because religion at some point in our lives has played a part. For me, in particular, even though I have my when it comes down to religion, I've come to a point in my life personally, especially when it comes down to my mom. I'm not mad that she introduced me to Christianity, because if she didn't introduce me to Christianity or anything, I don't know how for me personally, I do not know how I would have come into contact with God or got to know God. So that's the way that I view it for me, so I can be able to come to terms and kind of get, I don't want to say get over, like as in like just ignore it, but be able to heal from all of the stuff that I had issues with, or being able to heal from all the things that I it wasn't sitting right with me if I didn't actually do the work, the internal work of trying to break down what's this, what's that, why did that happen, especially on things that I cannot change at this point. So that's the way that I look at it now, to where it's like, you know what? I'm grateful that she did that, because it gave me some foundation of God. Now, me leaving, I was able to refine that version that was given to me, but it gave me a foundation.
Yeah.
So, Now, Purple Lover, what's going on? How you feel about everything? Do you feel like he was good? He was bad? I already heard you going off in the comment section.
He
Baby.
he is their leader. What you're looking at is a church, clearly, that has been not doing what it's supposed to. The reason why I say that is you can wind up, you're going to attract what you are. So the people sitting in there is on the same frequency as he is. That's why when somebody in the comments was like, I don't understand why they didn't get up and leave, because they don't think they deserve any better. And so they sit there. He is, he is all shades of wrong. In order for you to receive what he wants to receive, there has to be a law of exchange. That means that he has to provide his congregants something in order to receive something. He has not done that. According to Larry Reed actually spoke about the fact, how do you expect your church to give you money when you haven't taught the principles that goes along with that? He's the shepherd. They're the sheep. He's
Like
responsible for where that church is headed. And once again, this has become very typical of people in our community. We have a group of men that wants all the rewards and all the glitz and the glam, but they don't want to do none of the work that goes along with it. Because as a spiritual leader, which he is, speaking curses over your congregation shows there's a lot going on with you. He literally spoke a curse upon his people. Y'all are broke and blah blah blah. That's a curse.
Yeah, being able to like, I just think it's real interesting, like, especially once like religious people really start getting into the conversations of, especially when they say things like this. They say things like, oh, your power is in the tongue, but then they get up in pulpits or in sacred spaces or in life and say a whole bunch of wild things. And it's like, if you believe that the power is in the tongue, why do you keep saying certain things, especially to a group of people that's coming for you, because you're the one apparently that has been called. Now that may change depending upon how people may feel about the situation, but you have been the one that has been called to be a pastor. You have a group of individuals coming to you for spiritual healing, and you're insulting them. And since the philosophy that's also associated with Christianity, in particular the Black church, there's power in the tongue, and you're calling them and telling them that they're busted, they're broke, and all these different things. It's like, okay, so what you doing? What's going on?
Let me say this real quick. I am CJ's daughter. I don't know why every time I come up on StreamYard it puts my first name, but I'm CJ's daughter.
Oh, you
are CJ's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let me say this. Many are called, but few are chosen. Everyone that comes into the awareness and the truth of God, the real, like, true God, we are all called to deliver a message. It doesn't have to be church lingo, thou, though, he, whatever. but you are chosen. That's what that text me. Everybody is not meant to be a leader. Okay, because everybody does not know how to literally delegate authority. And this is what we have in most, not just the church now, most religious organizations where people have authority. And unfortunately, oppressed people, we don't, and I say we, I'm just generalizing, we really don't know how to stand up for ourselves. When a person is, let me not speak that because I'm not oppressed. But with people that are oppressed, they don't know how to stand up for themselves. It's a form of desperation. And so therefore, any and everything, that's like I was saying to my children, there's a difference between a need and a want. When you need something, you accept anything. But when you want something, you have put a standard on, and conditions on what it is that you're going to receive. You're not going to tolerate anything. But when a person is in need, like if you're hungry, you need to eat, you're going to eat whatever's there that's prepared. But when you want to eat, you choose. And unfortunately for most people in this world, they are dealing with a need, and they don't have that spiritual awareness to recognize a wolf in sheep's clothing. It is totally unacceptable for anyone. I don't care what the title is, what your religious beliefs are. It is unacceptable for anyone to be abusive to people that are following them. And I think it is really sad. It is heartbreaking that no one stood up and walked out, because I don't know how many people were there, but one out of that bunch, one should have had enough common sense. So you don't have to be combative. If you feel like, okay, I don't want to argue because he holds a title, that's fine. But why sit there and allow someone to constantly beat you down? How does that help you grow spiritually? How does that help you grow financially? How does that help you grow emotionally? How does it help you grow, period? It doesn't. And I think it is really, the time is coming, in my opinion, the time is coming where these people that are walking around in these positions of authority and that are abusing their congregants, oh my God, they have no idea what is about to come to them. We see a lot of preachers have passed away during this pandemic. A lot. And I just don't understand why nobody's eyes are open. Even if you're not connected spiritually, just as a human being, how do you not see that this is a time to get yourself together, because you don't know what's going to take you out. You really don't know. They really don't know. It is horrible. I couldn't do it.
I literally came out of the church because I have often said to other people, I have noticed that with the Christianity belief system, it's the only one that in my experience that I've seen where you claim a deity and you completely disrespect it. You just do whatever you want. Because like in other belief systems, if some of these deities like Sekhmet, they will really mess you up. And a lot of it is that you have, CTV said that the church had belief down. I disagree, because I have seen too many times where people will say that they believe in a belief system, in that belief system, and then when you get down to the meat and the bones of the thing, they really don't.
They don't.
Just like, for example, the afterlife. But yes, so even though there's supposed to be an afterlife, there's certain things that come along with that they don't believe in. Everything is off in the future, but yet and still, like one man said, everybody wants to get to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And it's a lot of that in the church. People will proclaim to you one thing, Like my mentor Neville Goddard says, all you have to do is just be quiet and let people talk, and you'll know exactly what's in their mind.
Absolutely.
And you can literally tell what they're going through by what's coming out their mouth.
I remembered how I knew when the preacher had to do that. I knew when I could tell what type of sermon was coming forth by how the
Mhm.
preacher coming to the pulpit, just his body language. You coming to the pulpit with a crown on your head. So I knew instantly, oh, this is going to be one of these type of sermons. You understand? Like, it's amazing to me how one cannot step out of themselves and be neutral, set aside their feelings and just preach from the Bible. Why does it always have to be something personal? It's like it's used to the pulpit is weaponized, okay?
Mhm.
It is weaponized to abuse the congregant. And I'm not saying all preachers are like that, because we know they're not all preachers are like that, but the majority of them are. And it is so unfortunate. I've always said to people, I am very weary of anyone that is quick to rush to carry the title in leadership, in any leadership position. If you're quick to run, because I studied the Bible, and everyone that was in that Bible that was put a charge was put on, or whatever duty was given to them, when it came to a position of leadership, they fled, they ran. They didn't want the burden of dealing with people, because anytime you deal with people, you have, it's so many different mixed personalities. You have to be equipped to handle different personalities. That's like being a parent. You have to, be equipped to deal with different personalities. And unfortunately, people get into it for the wrong reason. I don't know how that particular person thought he was going to get a $4,000 watch, because I don't believe he has a large congregation. Where you getting $4,000 from, sir? It's the pandemic, sir. People still out here struggling. People think the pandemic is not over. It is still going on. I mean, they think it's over, but it's still going on. People are trying to get their finances. Where did you think the money was coming from, sir?
Two.
First of all,
how selfish of you to even put a demand on your congregation, and we're in a pandemic. What have you done to help your congregation through this pandemic? Have you paid off people's bills? Have you made connections with the government to help people get food? Have you set up a center for people to come and get tested, get their vaccine? What have you done to help your congregants?
Yeah.
And then I have a big issue with the church not helping their congregation when it comes to, like, everything has to be the Bible. And I'm not against the Bible, but everything has to be the Bible. Why don't churches have programs for the youth to teach them about sex, AIDS, anything dealing with sex? Why don't they have programs to help people get their high school diplomas, GED? Why don't they have job training sessions where, people come in and help people find employment or build their career? Why don't they have anything that outside of religion to help build up their congregants?
Well, I'm gonna say this. Depending upon,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, depending upon the organization or church. I know there are some churches that do house or have different things, like they may have housing, they may have food banks, they may have other things. But however, I do believe that there needs to be, and I'm not gonna lie, I've even heard church people say this as well. Even my own mother. Now, keep my mama was a Bible thumper, so I can say this because she has always said this, which is why this was her ministry. Her ministry in particular was going out and giving back. She always felt like, especially in the more recent years, churches, and this is before pandemic in particular, churches have kind of shied away from that. Churches, at least in our experience, have shied away from, yes, you can believe what you want to believe, but however, being out in society and actually doing the work to help bring people and give out resources. She's always felt like that has always, in the more recent years, been in a decline. So that's what I can say. That
You know
yes,
why
I
it's
do
been in
understand
that
and I do
decline?
agree.
We had a minister that wanted to do that. You know what they did for his trouble because he was trying to reach out to the community? They got rid of it. See, church folks, there's a lot of church folks who, right now, if Jesus Christ was to ask them for some bread,
Ooh,
they would smack his hand.
ooh,
You're right.
because they're not whole. They're not whole. Because here's the thing: a lot of people, once again, we have this false image of God, and so we mirror ourselves after a false image of God, and then a lot of times too, we live in privileges, which means that that's a blind spot for a lot of hypocrisies that we live in. Like literally, you have people over here preaching the word, the gospel, but yet when you see a group of individuals that you may not understand, and by the way, I'm not just only talking about queer people, but in general, when you have a group of people that you don't agree with or understand, instead of you actually showing empathy, compassion, love, you're showing out the bigotry, you're showing out the institutionalized version of yourself, not the godly version of yourself, but the institutionalized version of yourself, and showing your complete ass.
Mm-hmm. Because
So
you know what
that's the
happened?
issue that comes happens.
You know what happened after they did that?
Mm-hmm.
They wound up with a preacher that they had to fire, and he refused to leave the church. See how you reap what you sow? Because when you had a person who was doing what he was supposed to be doing, you got rid of him. Because see,
Mm-hmm.
what he was doing, he was reaching out to other churches. He had started to get things organized to help the people in the community that was around the churches. He wanted to do an outreach program where he was helping the communities, making sure that they had what they needed and stuff. And they were so filled with sin, they got rid of him, and then they got their vibrational equivalent. There was
Yeah.
literally a fight in the church. Okay, that's what they got after that,
Oh,
You
and
want
it
to
was
hear?
on the news. Deacons of the church fighting.
Yeah, I might have seen that because me and my sons used to always go on YouTube looking for church fights. But let me tell you,
Oh, you
we
probably
did.
look
Tell you what's so
because
funny.
it was a huge controversy around here.
Yeah.
Because he was basically, I'm sorry,
No,
he
you're
was
fine.
basically saying that they were going to fire him, the pastor. And me and him got into it before I walked out of the church. Because he was like, yeah, you go ahead, you keep speaking the word. I was like, hey, that's not the most evil thing I ever heard come out of a pastor. I don't know what is.
ooh.
Because it was filled with wickedness. You can tell you can feel as an empath what people are really saying to you.
Of course.
And he won't say nothing good.
Remember y'all me telling y'all yesterday how I got disgusted with the church when my brother passed. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back. My brother, like, cause we're all preachers' kids, right? And my whole family just about is like either Muslim, Jehovah's Witness, or Christian, right? Um, my brothers, all of my mother children, with the exception of they all stopped going to church, somewhere in their early teenage years, 13, 14, 15. I was the only one that consistently stayed in church because church to me was like going to the club. I'm gonna be honest. It was very entertaining. I knew everyone who was sleeping with everybody. I didn't know what that was as a child, like how I was able, I could just read body language. I didn't have to see anything inappropriate, but I could just tell who was doing what. So I never stopped going, but my siblings stopped. And my brother that passed away, I believe that he knew he was sick. And so he started going back to church, and he got so involved in the church and actively involved in the church that he started a community outreach service in this particular church. Now my brother worked,
I did not mean to cut you, but you know what's so funny about that is very interesting. I'm gonna say funny. Interesting is that's what happened with my mom too. Like, of course, I felt like she knew that things were probably gonna go a certain route. Never really expressed it, but she started to become more involved in church and stuff. So I've seen the same thing happen with my aunts, my grandmas, and uncles and stuff. So that was very interesting.
Yeah. So he worked for the state in New Jersey. So he had a lot of connections with local mayors and things of that nature, people in politics, right? And so he brought all these people on board, got grant money and everything for this church. He started his community outreach. He would go to the shelters, pick people up, bring them in. I mean, he was serious about this thing, like, because he's always had a heart to help people, but he was serious. He really believed in the pastor that he had. He was a young pastor, and he just thought it was something excellent because it was not traditional church. They could come as they were. It looked like a club, basically. He loved the fact that it was not an Orthodox traditional church.
Ooh.
Well, the pastor in him got into it because now he opened up a food pantry, but they did not have anywhere to place a dumpster. So my brother started taking the boxes from the food pantry to a local Family Dollar dumpster, which the Family Dollar manager was upset, and they figured out who the guy was that was dumping the boxes, came to the pastor, and the pastor called my brother and went completely off on him. It was no compassion. I mean, he got so arrogant and full of himself that he forgot who he was talking to, the person that came there to building up your ministry, bringing people in and everything. And that made my brother stop going to church. So for me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because I'm like, when you have someone, although he may have been wrong, and it was the delivery, not even just the delivery, it was what he was saying. It was just the arrogance, the ego. Like, it was, like he didn't have a heart for the people. You're like, well, you wanted this food pantry, so you figure it out. You figure out what the boxes and things of that nature. My brother, like, what are you talking about? This is bringing people into the church because you're serving your community. We're serving the community, and it's not too many churches that are out here. I mean, they've got funding to help people pay their rent, things of that nature. Well, when he kicked my brother out the church, my brother never called anyone or told anyone that he was no longer affiliated with that church. As the people started questioning where my brother was at, and every Sunday that went by, it only took 2 minutes. 2 months. 2 months for the congregation to drop down to 12 people. We're talking about a congregation that had went from 12 people when my brother started there, which was the pastor's family, 12 people to 130 some people, and all of those people left. For me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I said, I'm just disgusted with church people. It's like, it was enough, right? The church I was attending, I started doing the same thing my brother was doing. The pastor came to me and said to me, because they didn't want us to do any community outreach. They wanted us to keep the outreach right in the 4 walls. When they found out that we were taking the youth, and when I say children, I'm talking about children that was 15 and older, because we know there are children that are 13, 11, 12, and so up down that are having sex. We talked to the parents, got permission to have these conversations. We allowed the parents to come in and sit down. We would take the kids out so it wouldn't be done in the church, because we wasn't permitted to do these things in church. This pastor came to me and said to me, I had to stop my community outreach ministry within the church. If I did it, it could not be affiliated and associated with the church. And I said, well, we're not socializing this with the church. We're not affiliating with the church because we're doing this outside of. Yeah, but you're still letting people know that you are a member at the church, of this church. Stop telling people you're a member of the church.
Bitch.
That was it for me. That was the moment that I said no more. And I helped build this man well, not his, but I helped build these people's church. And the irony of it is right now to this day, guess what? When I left, the pandemic hit. They opened the church back up. They can't even get 10 people to come to church. I get phone calls about them all the time. And I never speak discouraging words about them. And look, if you want to participate, go participate. I'm not going to tell you not to go. That's your thing. I personally am not going to approve. Everything I told you have to evolve. The pandemic happened. That is going on because men do not want to evolve. Every time if you look at history, anytime we have something like of this standard going on in the world, evolution has come. And it happens because people don't want to evolve. And until people evolve and change the system, their way of doing things, it will linger. Like the pandemic is going to continue to last until people get on board and change the way they're doing things. You know, and unfortunately, people are conditioned to stay, you know what I'm saying, stay pigeonholed. This man is no longer the pastor. I said all that to say, he's no longer the pastor. He left the church because they can't even raise $300 a Sunday. And I said, do y'all not see that?
Y'all gonna get it for the money.
That's what I said. Do y'all see that? Y'all don't understand that this is really blasphemy to God, that you will leave the church because they can't. How dare you? Because if God chose you for this position, you wouldn't leave. You would stay through it all, and your faith's supposed to let you know that God is going to increase. But your ego is going to say, they can't afford me, so I need to go. And all those people that did not stand up, guess where they at? Them little few people, they still there struggling, trying to find somebody. I never heard, they don't even have a preacher to come in every Sunday. They come in, say a prayer, they tell me, read a scripture, and then they dismiss. I said, you can do that on the phone. They got 3 ways for that.
You know why that is, right? Because you were the one that brought the spirit in it. And when you love, so did the spirit. It happens all the time. Because I went through a stage, I completely came out of the church because I was sick of God sending me into places, and then he would have me say things that I didn't want to be saying because I was coming to the church to be spiritually fed. I did not want to be in the role of the spiritual advisor in the church. I was not there to be pastor. So I was like, I gotta just come up out of this completely, because one church the creator sent me to, he was so pissed, my body was literally trembling because they were just on some ish. And he had me say stuff to him, and by the time I got done speaking, you could hear a pin drop. I was like, I don't ever want to feel like that again. I'll pass on this. I'm just going to stay out. It wound up being 3 churches back to back. I was like, I'm good on this.
No. And
I want to say sidebar real quick. Are they still fussing?
You said what?
I said, are they still fussing reckless?
Oh no, they not. I had to move. No, they not fussing no more. I thought like I was. It's this video. They had a lot of stuff going on, baby. I was like, as soon as I sat down, everybody wanted to come outside. Had a lady talking about cat. I'm like, so you didn't name the cat? You calling for the cat? You didn't name the cat? Got this lady over here yelling outside for the cat. The 2 over, literally right across, they are here yelling. I got mosquitoes over here biting me. The light had went off, and I was trying to read that bit. It was a lot going on. It was like, oh, but we still gonna push through, and that's on Mary Had Little Lamb and the Pet Billy Goat.
Come on, man.
My gosh. No, but to be completely honest, like, of course, like I said, like, I don't know if I actually said this, but I'm gonna say it just in case. This is the era that we're in. Like, we're in the era of spirituality. We're in the era of realigning. We're kind of leaving the church era, I would say now, because at one point in time, church did play a part when it came down to survival, as in feeding marginalized people hope to be able to push through, feeding marginalized people faith to be able to push through, and also having that faith, which is also another a key aspect when it comes down to your spirituality. But however, with polarities, in a sense, you must be balanced. So since we already had an extreme era of church, now we're going to have an extreme era of spirituality. But eventually, I do believe that we're going to have a era where it's going to be in the middle, to where we're going to have a church, but it's not going to be this version of church. And we're also going to have spirituality that's going to be incorporated in those churches. So where now we actually have pastors who were actually called, not text or email, who were actually called and spiritual enough to actually teach the word that it needs to be, the way that it needs to be taught. Because once I actually start like learning about the masculine and feminine energy, I was like, I didn't learn none of this in church. I learned none of this, none of these spiritual principles, none of these spiritual laws at all. And it really blew my mind, because I was like, if I would have been learning this stuff, because keep in mind too, I grew up in the church, I was in the choir. So a lot of times too, when it came to us singing and stuff in the music, I stayed away. But as soon as they be like, open the Bible to John, I'll fall asleep writing it out. But if I knew they was teaching stuff like this, I would have stayed away. Because baby,
the Holy Spirit is feminine. Shekinah is feminine.
You know,
They gloss over that part though. They have people thinking that all three aspects that's supposed to be in the Trinity is all men. But isn't that a little problematic, because you seem to have an issue with homosexuality, right?
oh girl.
So,
Yeah, they do.
so how we gonna have a Trinity filled with nothing but men, and there's no representation of the divine feminine? Because initially, the faith that they based it on, Yahweh had a wife named Ashazir. I can't remember her name exactly. Asher, something like that. But he had a wife, and they conveniently gave her the he folk.
I'm gonna tell you that I never forget. I was in high school, my junior year in high school. I had a lot of people in my family that were a part of the Masonry and Eastern Stars, right? And I was taught that was like devil worshiping and all this other stuff, right? But I had an interest in it because I saw back then as a child, I saw them do a lot of community work, and I wanted to be a part of an organization. I've always had a heart for people, like always wanted to help and things of that nature. And so I went through one of my great aunts back in the day. I remember trunks. I went through the trunk, and I had found all these books. It was a trunk full of books, and one of the books that I had found was the Lost Books of the Bible. And I was reading, and I was so like, I don't know, I've always been an avid reader. I was so overwhelmed by this literature, and I'm like, why this ain't in the Bible? Why this ain't in the Bible? And I'll never forget, I went to the Bible study instructor, and I said, you ever heard of Lost Books of the Bible? Child, y'all would have thought I was in the church cursing. I got shunned. I was dismissed. And the irony of it was, this was the irony. That particular instructor, his son was in the military, and he came home, I guess on his little tour break, or whatever you want to call it. He came home, and he was allowed to teach our Bible study. And don't you know, this man pulled that book out, the Lost Books of the Bible, when he was teaching? He didn't use the pamphlet that they had that they wanted us to follow. His father actually wasn't there that Tuesday night. And so the son came in to fill his shoes. And I was like, look at God. And I went to him after the service was over, and I said, you know, I talked to your father, and your father basically shook. And he was like, son, I said, yeah. I said, don't ever find out you was teaching from this book. Because he literally like made me feel like I had literally just went off. Like I used profanity in church and I had did the word, it was sacrilege, like I was speaking blasphemy against God by just even asking him that question. And he was like, well, I'll never forget this. He said, he said, our people, how does that phrase go? Our people lack of knowledge. You know that scripture where it say our people lack because of lack of knowledge?
Our people are destroyed because of the lack of knowledge.
That's what he said to me about his father. That was his response when I said that about his father. And I was like, ooh.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls?
Huh?
Are you talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls?
Well, I don't know if that's the Dead Sea Scrolls. I just know if the book was called, the name of it is the Lost Book of the Bible, and it's scripture. And it was supposed to be, it was something that they, when I read it, and then this back in the day now, when you had the AOL dial-up, I was trying to figure out, because I got the book from, like I said, out of my great aunt's trunk, but I had to put it back. So I tried to buy the book, and I wound up finding out I could go to the library and get the book. So all I know is
had it at Barnes and Noble too, because I had the book as well.
Mm-hmm. And
I have some questions. Okay, so what if you can remember? What were some things that you found out in this book, in particular?
The first chapter talked about how God made the first Adam and Eve, right? The first Eve was made imperfected, where our privates are, our vagina is where our eyes were, and our vagina was up on our face. And I was like, wow. Then it had, he did away with that woman. They don't say where she went. Then another Eve was created. Eve was created 3 times before God was satisfied with Eve. And I remember it spoke about, John the Baptist's mother. It was a whole book on her. It talked about how the angel came down and the Holy Spirit came and let her know that she was going to have a child that was going to be a messenger to announce that the Christ was coming. It talked about her relationship, huh?
Yeah, because Mary, her cousin, she was pregnant at the same time with Mary. Mary and her were both pregnant. And if you're talking about the same book that I'm remembering, John the Baptist jumped in his mama's stomach when he was in the presence of Mary, because Jesus was there.
Yes. And all of these books, I mean, all of this whole book, all of these books was taken out of the Bible by King James.
And he could stand women. That's why some of the quote unquote King James version is purposely misinterpreted.
And there was a lot. Those lost books of the Bible, it had more. It was more stories that were told from other disciples. There were also more female disciples. Also, there was also more female prophets in that lost book. So that's
did you read about Mary Magdalene?
Yeah, those books. I even had a whole book on her. So those books was taken out because it was that basically like female empowerment, to let you know that women's role was very, very heavily doctrine in that Bible. Like our roles were just as important to the building of the church as it was for a man. But that's why, like, they come out.
Actually, in the book, Reckless, in the book on Mary Magdalene, there's actually a confrontation between Mary Magdalene and the disciples, because the Christ actually told her things that he didn't tell the other disciples. And one of the disciples stood up and defended her because it was jealousy. And I think Peter was the one that was jealous.
Yes, he was.
And they got into a complete showdown. Because see, like I was telling you, that's why I put that statement earlier. There was never ever a time where the Christian belief system was monolithic. There was actually a group of followers of Mary Magdalene, and
Yep.
she was not a prostitute. That was actually done by the church because they wanted to disempower women. Because when you actually go through all of those books, one of the books talks about how the lady in purple, how she was actually funding things for the Christ. She was actually seen as an equal to him. He was actually hanging out with the with what was considered um the outcast of society. Um, it also in those books it also talks about Thomas. It talks about, oh my god, I'm trying to remember. It's a lot of stuff that gets covered. Um, my favorite book is actually talks about Jesus Christ's childhood and how he killed the little boy and then brought him back to life because the parents was complaining to his parents that Jesus had killed him. So there was a he because what happened was the little boy Jesus had brought a bird to life and the little boy killed it and then Jesus took him out. And then the parents came back to Joseph and Mary complaining and he brought the little boy back to life. It was a whole bunch of stuff. That's why they really didn't want to get. That's why they really didn't want to get into his years, the quote unquote missing years. Things are missing.
Sal, to answer your question, I cannot. I don't want to forget it was Lilith. I cannot remember the name. It's been so long since I've read it, and I'm actually going to Google to see if I can find it and buy it, or I can reread it again. But Lilith was she was a name that was mentioned in that book as well. And the thing about it is they don't want to. That's why I tell people it's very important. They don't want you to read any other book but the Bible, which I think is also sinful. If you want to use that word, it's really a sin to not want people to be educated. I always say it does you no harm to read other spiritual doctrines because actually you should want to know what other people are learning to have an understanding of why people are the way that they are, even if it's just to know why people are the way that they are, so that you know what I mean you can't be combative with a person for their choices and their belief system. And what I have discovered, most other religions literally have the same talking point. Our structure pretty much the same as Christianity. Most of them. When you look at you know what I'm saying, the read between the lines of everything, it is all saying the same thing, not maybe straight across the board, but in general, it is all saying the same thing. That's why I always tell people there is more than one way to get to Christ. Just like it's more than one way to get, if you want some McDonald's, you could take several different routes to get to McDonald's. You don't have to take the same exact route to get to McDonald's. And that's why I have a problem, and I've always had a problem with preachers damning people to hell because they're not following Christ. I personally cannot believe that everyone that does not profess to be a follower of Christ is going to hell. If there's a hell, I cannot believe that everyone is going to hell, because as long as you are practicing the same thing that the Bible tells you to practice, like my mama, not my mama, my grandmother used to say all the time, don't touch that, that don't belong to you. That is the same thing as saying thou shalt not steal. Everybody does not know who Jesus is, but they do practice the teachings of Jesus unbeknownst to them. So how can everybody, just because they're not claiming themselves to be a Christian, just because they ain't going into them four walls every Sunday, how could they be damning themselves to hell? And what I personally experienced, street people better than church people.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying.
I ain't
So
mad. I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Oh,
That's better than. Go ahead.
but actually, Lilith was a wife of Adam, but she refused to bow down to him because she was like, we were made basically at the same time. That's one of the stories of Lilith. And because she refused to submit to Adam, they gave her the he goat.
Mhm. It's a reckless. If you get time, I'm telling you, go see if you can get that book, and you'll be like, wow, wow. So this what they, this what they want to keep from the women in the church to know the truth of themselves, so they can truly walk into their divine femininity. Because a lot, let me tell you something. That information I got that I screenshotted yesterday, I
Yeah.
posted it on my wall on Facebook. Right, I just wanted to see, what the response was going to be. Right, and I had an inbox. It was so funny to me. I
Oh.
had inboxes instead of people commenting on the post. They inboxed me in secrecy, challenging. First of all, they want to know. This one lady wanted to know what was my purpose of posting it, because I didn't put no
Wait. Are you talking about the masculine feminine thing that you?
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh.
I didn't add no caption to it. I just posted it, right, and put a heart on. That was the caption, a heart. And this one particular woman that she was one of few that inboxed me. She wanted to know what was my purpose for texting it. I mean, for posting it. And I said, well, I just wanted to just sit it right there. I just thought I'd give the people something to read. She said, but it had to be something behind it. What was your train of thought? And I said, well, if you could tell me when you read it, what did you think? What first came to mind? Then I could tell you why I posted it. So then she said, why are you being combative? I'm just asking a question. It ain't that serious. And I said, no, I said I posted it because I thought it was just something to get the people to read. I basically answered your question, but like, why can't you answer mine? She didn't respond. Then about 20 minutes go by, because now we're on the platform with Conscious. About 20 minutes go by, sis, I see a notification in my inbox. I go into the inbox, it's her. And I said I wasn't going to read it because I was too busy trying to listen to Conscious. Well, friend said, go ahead and read it, right? You could do both at the same time.
Uh-huh.
She called herself reading me like, apparently you don't know your role. That's the reason why you post. You must have just found out who you were.
Oh.
And I said, are you mad? Because I don't understand your aggression. I said, I could be wrong because, sometimes we read things. If you don't hear a person, you don't know the text and the spirit that is given, right? So I'm like, saying, what's your problem? Or whatever. She like, I just didn't, I thought it was a good read, but I didn't understand why you posted it and you're being rude. And I said, no. I said, evidently, you couldn't have liked what I posted. And I said, this is what I said. I set it up there so people can understand the difference between feminine energy and masculine energy, so people can understand, the toxicity that's in them because of toxic patriarchy. And she was like, oh, you one of them. And I said, yes. My response back to her was, yes, I am one of them. And now you're blocked because I know you are one of them. I blocked her and I came back on and started paying attention to the Conscious, and I was just like, I knew it was going to be somebody. If it wasn't only one person, I knew someone was going to get offended by it.
Yeah. I knew that was gonna happen because, baby, when she was asking them questions, it was like, you're trying to figure out something. So why are you here? What's going on? You're saying that you're asking these questions. You're trying to figure something out. What's going on? Why are you here? What's your thought process, baby? That is funny, but that's just funny. It's like, why are you offended because someone else posted something that's not even derogatory? You went completely out of your way to jump into someone else's direct messages, aka DM, to question them about a post that's not disrespecting nobody, that didn't even have a caption. It's one thing if it have a caption because it kind of lets you know the intention. Doesn't have a caption, it's not derogatory, and you're asking about something, and then they give you an answer. I guess not the answer that you wanted. Then when they finally give you an answer actually specify more in detail, then you get upset. What the hell you get upset for? You went looking at something that you already knew, that you had a feeling that was already something, like you already had a feeling that Anya, and I'm using quotation mark, Anya was one of them. That's the reason why you was like, I knew it. I knew you was one of them. Bitch, you the one came to my you in my DMs. If you feel like I was one of them, bitch, you could have come scrolling and blocked me.
I was on the phone at 6 o'clock this morning talking to my sister about it. She said, look, hold on. My sister don't be doing social media other than TikTok. She said, hold on. She reactivated her Facebook page, got on it. She said, girl, she was triggered. I said, triggered by what? She was like, when it talked about the negative attribute of femininity, she was like saying overly sensitive. She said she was triggered by that. She said, because it's no way that she should even. I said, you think I'm lying? She was like, no. I literally screenshotted the messages to my sister, and my sister was like, who is that? Who is she? I said, I don't even know. I don't even know who we got in common. I ain't looked to see because I just blocked or whatever. And I'm like, but I said, that shows you that a lot of people, there are so many people out here that truly don't want to know the truth. Because the truth causes you, if you really accept the truth, it convicts you and it brings upon change. But people are afraid. What I found, a lot of people are afraid to change. They are comfortable living in dysfunction because change brings upon work, which most people are too lazy to do the work, and they don't want to stand outside of the crowd and what is of the norm. And I'm gonna tell y'all, my whole testimony in life is I am grateful. I shy not away from my truth, because one thing I realized, I tried to, like a lot of things I did not overly expose when my parents were here out of respect for them, but I did get to live completely open in my truth amongst them, because I had to realize I'm not doing me any service by hiding who I am. If I've done something that I am ashamed of, then I shouldn't have done it. But in order to literally live your life out freely, you have to take accountability and, you know what I mean, through ownership, and tell your truth. Your truth can do nothing but liberate you. And I just find out people don't want to be liberated. They are content living in their lives in dysfunction.
Yeah, you're 100% right on that. Because baby, they were lit. Oh, that's what the book has said. They said instead of people actually getting rid of the illusion or condition. Now I'm paraphrasing, y'all. Get rid of the conditions. No, getting rid of illusions. They have to get rid of conditions, but however, they have to hold on to conditions that requires illusion, something like that. But the book had talked about that, how people are content in this imaginary world, or their perception, because perception, everybody's perception is an illusion. So your whatever perception that you have, people will hold on to it, which is 100% correct. Because even when me and my mom, we would go back and forth about the Bible and what I believe, what she believes, and everybody know I'm like head on. I'm like I like to debate it out, and that's where I get it from. I get it from her. So she's still standing her ground. I'm standing my ground. We going back and forth. And so, like, when people have a perception about something and they believe it, that's what it is. There's nothing you can really talk about or say about that.
But you know, in my liberation, I had to accept, because like you always say, the pendulum can swing both ways. I had to accept that people's perception of me was what I was projecting. I had to literally accept that about myself, because I've always been very open, like overly open in my opinion. I still was a bit reserved about, like, I was guarded with my personal, like my romantic life. I was guarded by that. And so I can tell you that when I started talking about, like, now this was me, like, in church, out of church, whatever. When I started talking about how big of a whore I was, it was like, But then I had relatives that was like already saying things about me without evidence though. Like it was, I don't know if they saw the energy on me or what, but they had no evidence. But I had already had relatives that was saying this girl a whore or whatever the case may be. So I had to like literally had to take accountability because I'm like, there had to been something about me because it was the truth. There had to been something about me that gave off that energy, you know. And what I also had to come to terms with is I could not control, because my problem was I didn't like for nobody to speak on me, period. I speak on myself. That's how I used to feel. And I had to realize you cannot control what people say about you. You can't control people's thought of you or anything. You have to learn that everybody has an opinion, including you. So just because you choose not to get out there and try to expose people or whatever it is that people do, just because you choose to operate differently does not mean, you know what I'm saying, that they're going to operate differently. Like, you have to understand how people operate. This is their right. You know, so that was like a big help for me, because then it was like, girl, who, like, what does it matter? I'm telling, like, when I would just say stuff, even like down to the preachers, I'm like, listen, there's a lot of them that like I don't sweat with, and y'all thinking one thing and they a whole different way. And my family used to be like, girl, we don't need to know that about the preacher. Why you telling us that about that man? And I'm like, no, because y'all literally sit here and put this person on a whole, like, not even a pedestal. Y'all put this nigga on top of y'all backs and be carrying him like he's God, and literally reference him like he's God. What the pastor said about talking down on somebody else, and I'm like, he's sinful too. Yeah, like the one that y'all keep talking about, how he was talking about such or whatever. Yeah, I was just laid up with him. And they couldn't take it. They couldn't take it. And you know what I mean? But God, like, when I, like, the more I got closer to my God, that great supreme, the closer I got to him, like, I stopped even focusing on those people and started really focusing more on myself and changing my ways. Not because the Bible said it, not because man said it, but because I felt a conviction, like I knew I was better than that. And that's what they really don't understand. Christ never really came out and was judged. He was not judgmental. The only time I found in that Bible that they love to always quote scriptures from, where Jesus gave a judgment, was when he got angry with them for selling stuff in the temple. And that's because of their own teachings. But outside of that, I don't see nowhere in there where he was judgmental. You know what I mean? Based to anyone.
Yeah. To be completely honest, the issue that comes that plays a part is that a lot of times people misconstrue what Jesus did. And this goes back to, I really don't want to keep saying his name, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to say his name eventually. What Jay Lethal has talked about. I come as Moses, but yet you're supposed to follow Christ. So which one is it? Are you supposed to follow Moses? Supposed to follow Christ? And I think a lot of times when I start to actually have conversations with people from different spiritual practices, but however their reference point is following Christ, they typically, if you catch the gray areas, they're following what other disciples said, or they're following what other saints said or did, but they're not actually following what Christ did. Like, and the dangerous thing with that is that a lot of times too, they would catch themselves being what Christ said, or what the I don't know who were the religious people that went after Christ, that demonized witches and all the other people.
Muslims. Now but Farrakhan now he preaches Jesus, but Muslims.
Oh, I thought he was talking about in the Bible.
In the Bible.
Oh.
That was the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
Yes.
They were out there for different reasons.
So, which is why they always say that history repeats themselves, is that the people that thought they were of God, aka religious, And now we have people today that think and believe are under this false pretense of them following Christ, but yet conflating what other saints did and said, what other
Yeah,
people,
the group that you're
disciples,
talking.
whoever. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut across
You
you.
know, the-
The group that you're
no,
talking about there is the Pharisees, because
yes.
Jesus commanded his followers to not be like the Pharisees, because they were considered the religious people. And he was saying, don't be like them because they can see you struggling and they have no cares about you.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what's going on. Is that now you have people who have under this false pretense of them following Christ, but however making a conflation of what other saints did, the Pharisees have done, etc. Long laundry list, and then they're still having this illusion of them following Christ, but not acting as Christ, which is showing empathy and showing unconditional love.
But you know
Being,
what?
mm-hmm,
If they, here's the thing, Jesus was a Jew, right? He was a Jew. So therefore, he definitely practiced Jewish customs. However, he didn't make it a religious thing because he knew outside of the religious aspect were people that could not afford to do like the Pharisees and the Sadducees. You understand what I'm saying? So it's really okay, we can use Jay Lethal for instance. He would not have, if he would have said, I'm a follower of Jesus. I am, what you say he was Moses?
Well, he told you the truth
yeah,
because Moses is
Okay,
under the law.
this and yeah and okay, because I have a hard time with church people with this whole one, the ones that try to say, okay, well, when Jesus came, we follow Jesus because the law was flawed and Jesus came to fulfill the law, but he's fulfilling the law means that he took error away from the law, and which is love. He told us to love one another because love does truly give you the characteristics of Christ. It makes you have empathy, sympathy, compassion, understanding, all of those type of things, that actually draw people to you and not push them away from you, right? But that doesn't eliminate the teachings of the Old Testament. But
But
people
see,
don't
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Here's the problem with that theory. Jesus and the disciples only had the Old Testament. There was nothing else. And matter of fact, it was considered to be extra Jewish, to be a really true Jew, according to his disciples and stuff, because they believed him to be the Messiah. And so Jesus tells you he's not even trying to create nothing new. He says, I'm here to fulfill the law, not to abolish it. It also goes on, the disciples themselves saw themselves as Messianic Jews. They didn't, this whole Christian thing is from other folks coming along thousands of years after and creating a whole new thing. Even the word Christian itself was really considered derogatory.
Yes.
It was not what people has made it into be. It was actually a derogatory term because those who truly believed and followed the way, as it was called, were actually doing the miracle signs and wonders like Jesus Christ did. So they started calling them little Christ, and then that later turned into Christians. But it was meant to kind of like put you in your place, so to speak. When they said,
Segregate. Yeah, but with the oh, you're basically saying the same thing. If you love me, you're not gonna steal from me. If you love me, you ain't gonna kill me. If you love me, you ain't about to be out here sleeping with my husband if I had one. You understand what I'm saying? If you love me, try to keep cause off against have any problem. Like if you love me, you're gonna treat me just as you treat yourself. And unfortunately, that's just like how when, like I said, with the lost books of the Bible, when I discovered that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were a whole married couple, I knew right then and there. I said, oh, they don't want to humanize Jesus. They don't want us to have an example of someone that can be here in flesh and still walk in righteousness. Not that he was, I'm not going to say that he was not perfect, but they don't want us to.
Wait. Please say that again. I like that. Say it again.
They don't want us to know that there was someone down here in human flesh that walked and lived in righteousness. Because they don't want us to know that. See, that's the whole thing. They don't want us to realize and recognize if God, when he created man and woman, he breathed his breath of life into us. That means that his spirit dwells in us. They don't want us to tap into the God in us. They don't want us to know that. They don't want us to have any true examples of righteousness. Because you can be human and be righteous. You can be human and be flawed. And still seek righteousness. To seek righteousness does not mean that you're not going to error. Because we don't have, for whatever reason, be it if it was Eve that ate the apple or not, whatever, for whatever reason, we don't have, and for some people it takes a while to get, but most people in general don't have that spiritual awakeness to the God that's in them. Because once you recognize that there is a deity that resides within you, then you recognize that you are a part of a deity. Therefore, you have the same gifts that Bible speaks of. They don't want us to be empowered in that way. Because when you know, that's like if you find out, if you did a DNA search and you found out you came from royalty, you would change your way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want that for us. That is the reason. It's all about oppression. That is the reason why they don't teach us the truth. And they truly speak against us doing anything other than what they teach us to do, and that is to read the Bible. I said it's funny because I remember when I started leading Sunday school, I had the little pamphlets they gave us or whatever, and I read it and it was boring. So I didn't think I wanted to teach the kids from that. So I would bring the Bible in and I would have my dictionary, because when you're teaching children, you know, you read certain words out of the Bible, you have to be able to translate. And so dictionary.
I'm not gonna lie with her. I'm not gonna lie. Case in point. I was gonna say.
I had to pay a $30 due, not a dues, a fine to the church, because I didn't get permission to the dictionary.
Oh wow.
And I was just like, wow, you know, it was literally like things like that happened throughout my lifetime of being in the church. And I was just always appalled. And I said, wow, it's okay for me to go to college, to go to, well, just even school, period, and to have several different books for references to help me educate myself. But when it comes to my spiritual belief system, this religious aspect of what that's supposed to be one, y'all tell me that I can only open up the Bible, do that on my own time. Oh, that's man's definition. That one right there used to be bugging me out. That's man's definition.
Yeah.
So the Bible ain't man's definition? I'm confused.
It's just it's a whole bunch of, like, I noticed that a lot of times, and by the way, I'm about to end this panel soon, but I noticed that a lot of times when people just don't have the knowledge or don't even have the answers to answer a question or really get into certain conversations, they always resort to that's man's definition, or they go to like a defensive argument. Now, but they don't realize that if you were to actually just take it, I hate this word. I hate accountability because I feel like people just throw it. I feel like people just throw it anywhere. When you are aware, from now on, instead of me saying accountability, I'm gonna say aware, because I feel like people just throw accountability everywhere, especially when it comes to that manosphere, baby. I just feel like when you become aware of I guess of yourself and realize just, yo, I do not have the answers. Yes, I may be a preacher. Yes, I may be someone that has influence. That people need to know that that's going to make people respect you more, because then by then they know that you're not going to lie to them and you will do your research.
Yep.
It adds a trusting factor to you and with to you and your ministry. So, yeah.
Well, as always, I just want to just big you up. You always bring something for us to discuss, and I can always learn more.
Me too. 'Cause, baby, I was struggling with that article today, baby, but it's all right.
It's good. It's good. We got through it. We understood it. You know what I'm saying? It was literally knowledge. And that's one thing I don't shy away from. I'm never a person that, even if I don't agree with you, I can agree to disagree, but I love to have an understanding. And I've learned that understanding a person does not mean that I agree with a person. You know,
Mhm.
but what it does is it allows me to see the psyche of another person's
Yes.
to get a better understanding of why a person is the way that they are. And that comes with compassion and patience. And I just
Mhm.
we as a human, take the spiritual aspect out of it. I just wish that we as human beings can learn to have the same respect and regard for others that we have, that we say that we have for ourselves. I just wish that we would just get back to a place where we can show that we have a heart for each other and stop with the BS. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you never, my grandmother used to always say, you never gonna know who's gonna have to bring you your last glass of water. You never know that. And that is a true statement. You don't know where you're going to be at in life and who you're going to need in life to, like, you know what I'm saying, disrespect or, you know what I mean, abuse somebody. And I don't want to harping on just the preachers, because it's people in general that do it. You know what I mean? And I know that we look at people of titles, we look at them differently because they hold this title, so therefore they're supposed to, like, be responsible with it. But man, it's flawed. This don't justify or excuse it, but man, it's flawed. So I don't even fool with titles like that anymore, because at the end of the day, your title does not give you authority over me, because I truly know that, you know what I'm saying, God dwells within me. That's who I depend on, the God that dwells in me. I ain't depending on man to lead me anywhere. That's my job, to follow God.
And that's on period. That is most definitely on period. Now, cocaine. Actually, I'm just have to say KO. Because, baby, you would not get me in trouble. Now, KO, I respect the fact you didn't give up on those complex words. Some of them were complex, in my personal opinion, for my reading level, because, baby, reading has never been a thing for me. No shade. I know I may come off as very articulate, but this is I'm willing to be, I'm willing to show my vulnerability and my weaknesses of me knowing I do not want no Modelo. You know damn well I do not drink. But my bad, I got people in the background. But I'm willing to show my weaknesses on the forefront, because a lot of people wondering why, how you able to articulate yourself this way and all these different types of things. But this is what I do in the background when I read stuff. I struggle on words and I look them up. I see how the way you actually pronunciate them, and I work on my enunciation and pronunciation. So a lot of times too, this is how I learn. So, but I just think now adding that as an aspect to the videos would be better. So, some period. She's the key. Purple Love, you got any final words? Anya, you got any final words?
I don't say my dissertation.
Oh, okay. Purple Lover. She probably went to the restroom or something.
You
But
should
I'm gonna
know that.
say thank. Mm-mm. Well, she probably gone. But I'm gonna say thank you guys so very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I
All right,
probably
then.
And I will be going live tomorrow as well too. That one I haven't decided exactly what because I have like a list of things I want to talk about, but I most definitely will be going live tomorrow. Keep this up.
Oh, I just want
And
to
then,
tell you real quick. I'm gonna I got a blog. I got
ooh,
Instagram, and I don't know if I had put it in the chat yesterday. I want to start posting clips of your video, and I want to get permission to do
oh,
it because
period.
I want
That's
to
on
start
period.
posting again or whatever. I ain't posting in a minute, but I am going start putting some clips
Mm-hmm.
up. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that's on period. That's good.
Yep. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop and listen to your final remark.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Oh, and by the way, too, Anya, if it's probably never come right back up, I think. Yes. So just so you know, if you guys love the sociology book, guess what? I have a psychology book as well, too.
Mm.
Baby, when I tell you, it's so much. It's like, and that's kind of where I learned at least grasp the idea and kind of actually paid attention to that perception is an illusion. Like, of course, that's something like you probably think about, but in the book, it goes more into detail how to actually break it down and really get more of a foundation when it comes down to that particular topic. And that was just only one thing I had actually opened the book and actually just looked at. So just imagine if I actually read it and stuff. So, baby, we have a lot coming. We have a lot coming, especially with these different types of situations that keeps going on. It's a good way to kind of incorporate all those things all together.
Yeah,
But
I think
yeah.
it's good that you definitely use text and you put it, what I'm saying, you make it visual so that
Mm-hmm.
people understand that this is not like your opinion. This is textbook
Yeah.
information that you're giving us. So,
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's good. That definitely sets you apart, you and conscious. It sets y'all apart
Mm-hmm.
with information than a lot of these other bloggers and content creators.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I think it was meant for me and Constance to meet each other because it was like everything just happened like magic. It really did. Everything happened like magic. We literally were just talking to each other and we just gravitated towards each other. It was like a magnetic pull. It was attraction. And then we just, ever since then, it just been grinding, building, and then things just going in the right direction. So that's always been going on.
So I'm gonna
But yeah,
inbox and let you know that it's me from that page, and you know what I'm
okay.
saying. Just know that your clip's gonna be up there.
Okay. That's probably fine.
All right,
Thank you
bro.
so very much, Anya. Thank you. All righty, guys. All right, so that is the that's all. That's really all of it for the commentary video for today, guys. I'm just gonna reiterate a few things before I do get out of here. Um, Pastor Carlton Fund, I'm gonna call them funds. Funds, you were wrong for what you said. I don't personally believe that the apology was sincere just off the strength of what I've seen. When it came down to you apologizing, you were reading off a piece of paper. So the question of are you sincere comes up, and also the question of did you write that letter yourself? So those are the two questions that do come up when I saw that you were the one actually reading off the piece of paper. There's a distinction between glancing to keep your thoughts and then there's a distinction between reading off a piece of paper when you actually are apologizing. I felt like personally, I feel like the sincerity could have been more intensified to really to really push push the narrative home that you're actually apologetic for what actually did happen. I felt like this was a failed attempt at a really good message that probably could have happened in the church, as in people saying and feeling like and coming to the church for spiritual healing and quote unquote having value in the church, but yet not always demonstrating or having the same energy when it comes down to sometimes showcasing that value in a sense, for lack of better words. Because we will be so quick to go out and purchase a Louis bag that's like $9,000. By the way, I do not know their prices, y'all. That's like $9,000. Why? Because we see value in it. Now, I'm not saying that money is always the thing that shows value, but however, I felt like if he would have been on that road and would have stayed on that road, he would have been better off compared to where he is right now. Um, and I also believe that when it comes down to this particular era, this is an era of spirituality. So a lot of stuff is going to happen with the church, and plus, the things have always been happening with the church. The church has always had a long history of burning witches. It has had its long history of wars, the manipulation of biblical texts, the dehumanization of people. So now that we are in the era of spirituality and also in the era of social media, aka exposing and clout chase, all of these things that have not been addressed and resolved, that the Most High has most definitely given people the time to resolve in private. But since these things have not been resolved, now everything's going to come to the forefront. There are going to be a lot more people. I believe personally, I believe this. There are going to be a lot more people leaving the church. There are going to be a lot more people that's going to go on their personal journeys. That's going to have a personal disdain for church and church individuals. But however, I do believe that there's going to be a generation era where people are going to start going back into church, and spirituality is also going to be more incorporated inside of these facilities and these buildings, and to where now the actual teachings of Christ and biblical text will actually be more effective, because now you have people in place to teach the word, that are qualified to teach the word, that understand the historical context, the metaphysical context, the physical context, and also the emotional and mental context as well. Being able to understand the Bible, and by the way, I'm just using the Bible for context, but understand the Bible to a point to where they can make distinctions and also bring about the nuance and complexities of conversations that was going to happen. So that's what I do believe. I just feel like this is the failed attempt at having a real deep conversation. And also, I do believe that this was also a demonstration of how there's a socialization of, we're low-key having these human qualities associated with God, and then we're worshiping ourselves, and in that, we want to be worshipped. And then keep on top of that being a marginalized group, and then now you have some sense of power and not really addressing the trauma. Now you're abusing your power. You get what I'm saying? It's the same thing that we've seen with Dr. Umar, to where he had good intentions, but however, since he has certain trauma, he hasn't really dealt with those trauma. Now that he has some sense of power, he ended up abusing his power. So it's the same exact thing. But however, with that being said, that is it for my commentary video for today, guys. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any more posts from me. And with that being said, guys, I will see you guys later, and I'm out. Yeah.